Round 4. And so we move over into the mid portion of the season. We've had our hellos, we've had our how are you doings. Now is the chance to knuckle down and go and get your points. Here in the Moza Racing Porsche Pro Invitational, the big key is going to be how do you master one of the longest, most storied and most revered circuits in all of motorsports. Welcome to Le Mans here in the Pays de la Loire region of France, and welcome here live on SimGear or SimSpeed TV and of course with ASRG. My name's Jake Sperry. Zach Caban is alongside with me for today's action with Jay Kennedy out there and promoting for us in the producers. Cheers, Zach. It's a pleasure to be alongside with you once again. And what a moment it is to jump into this, because we've had ourselves a little bit of a flare-up championship-wise, seeing Damon Woods have his win stripped from him with a 5-second time penalty at the end of Nürburgring Race 2 last time out, which means for Zach Rattray-White, he's got a chance to say, I'm still within 100 points, I'm still going to be challenging strong.
About that much, isn't it? It's a slim drawback for Zach Rattray-White. Hello to you, Jake. Hello, everybody. Good to be back. Missed the last one through illness, and I've got a clogged up nose tonight, but we'll push through. Here we rock and roll to Le Mans. It's interesting, isn't it? Because it means we've got a 4th different race winner so far in 6 races, which bodes well statistically speaking. I know we like our maths. We come to a point where Damon Woods will no doubt want to rewrite the wrongs of last time out and seek redemption. So that's exciting as well. And then, of course, you've got the wonderful aspect of going, the novelty, if you like, of going sprint racing at the Circuit de la Sarthe. Of course, in due course, iRacing are going back to the venue, and they're going to, of course, scan the internal, the Bugatti circuit. We're excited about that. But now we go sprint racing at one of the most famed endurance venues in the world. Of course, not long off the back of the Majors 24 and, of course, the real world 24 hours of Le Mans as well. But it's sprint racing tonight, all out, elbows out, should be good. And can anyone catch Damon Woods? That is the question that we're all asking. That margin there, Jake, as you run us through the championship points, is only 82 points.
Yeah, 82 for Damon Woods over Zach Rattray-White, with Rick Kuznetsov then in 3rd position, leading 3 Vermilion cars, with Zach Kerr in 4th and Antal Sabo in 5th. Marino Morella will profiteer off of picking up the victory from Damon Woods' penalty, moves up to 6th for Eclipse Simsport, with Brock Gilchrist and Seth Brown 7th and 8th. 9th belonging to the 506 of Byron Pierce, the 4th of the 4 Eclipse Simsport cars inside the top 10. And for OPRX Gamma Flare, it's Dean Mackay, who is there on 369 points, just 8 back as far as it goes. Now, in terms of where we are in this championship, Le Mans stands out a little bit as a crown jewel as the midway point goes on, but it's going to get very, very busy. 2 races a month in July and in August before we run September, October, November, December. So some big rounds on the horizon coming up, including the triple at the Red Bull Ring and that big old launch around Mount Panorama, Zach.
Yeah, exactly right, Jake. In fact, have a look at this statistically, ladies and gentlemen. Again, talking numerically, 84 days ago we were here for the first round of the series. We're back for round 4. In the next 84 days, we'll do twice as many rounds as what we've already done. So we're 3 down. But this time in 84 days, September 16, we'll be here getting ready to wrap up round 9. So 6 rounds, 84 days. What's that equate to? 12 weeks. It's rip, tear, rush, bust from this point in forward. We've got a little bit of a clear window here on a Wednesday night that can be occupied by the Porsches predominantly, whilst our V8 Pro colleagues are, of course, tackling enduro mode through Fridays and Sundays. So we're taking our opportunity to shine a spotlight on the Porsche Pro Invitational on the Wednesday night, with thanks to Moza Racing. Cannot wait for that. We get through Europe, thankfully, by the end of July. I think we're all looking forward to a continent change, Jake, and it comes in the form of Mount Panorama in the lead up to the 1000, the Phillip Island circuit 2 weeks later, and then, of course, off to Shell V-Power Motorsport Park at the Bend. It is going to get very busy very quickly, and that means that the onus is going to be on these drivers to have their wits about them. A lot of time is going to be spent over the next few weeks fine-tuning setups, trying to hone their skills, trying to find a way to reel Damon Woods in, because very soon, if they don't manage to get on top of it, mate, the horse will have well and truly bolted.
Yeah, and let's take a look at this circuit then and what they've got to deal with. And I don't think this is a horses bolted circuit today because of the true nature of this being an absolutely flat out track. 291 kilometers an hour, an average speed of 208, over 75% of the lap at full throttle. Those two chicanes at Daytona and Michelin breaking up that long Mulsanne straight. Zach, I take one look at this circuit and say this isn't a case of I want to go out there and be all out fast track. It's can I time my move to go and get the victory circuit?
And more than that, it's a treat the circuit with respect or pay the price circuit as well, mate. So, yes, you don't necessarily look at qualifying as a foregone conclusion as to how this is going to play out. You've seen it throughout the first 3 rounds of the season so far. You'll see it again tonight. There will be people chase their tail throughout the course of the 2 races, but timing your run is going to be mightily important. But more importantly as well, mate, for anyone that's starting beyond the first 6 or 7 rows, we know how awkward a staggered start it is here at the Circuit de la Sarthe. So you probably want to make your run in qualifying and then just play the long game, if you can call it that, through a 6 and 8 lap race respectively.
Yeah, this is going to be one where time is of the essence, and they will have qualifying in about 5 minutes' time. They'll have 20 minutes to go and set a lap time in that with the no escape rule in effect. 81 kilometres then for race number 1, gridded from qualifying order. Then that top 10 will reverse for 108.9 kilometres in race 2 for 8 laps. And Zach, the big key, I think, has been those race ones, and that's why Damon Woods has the championship lead. He is 3 for 3 on opening sprints.
Yeah, and he's done it through 3 front row starts as well. So there's something to be said about qualifying and then that early conversion. Obviously, we invert the top 10 going into the second race of the night. That then places a bit more of an onus on strategy and racecraft and being able to execute your overtaking opportunities. We saw that in great effect throughout the first round at the Hockenheimring, a circuit where it's notoriously difficult to overtake. Here, no such issue. Slipstream's going to play a massive effect tonight. I suspect we'll see a lot of positional squabbling and changing throughout the course of the evening. But you're right, the first race, mightily important, even though it offers less weight points-wise than what the second one does.
Yes, so it might weight less, but what you have is the ability to say, I'm going to stand on top. Now, we do have a number of drivers who are electing not to run here today at Le Mans. The biggest name I see on that is the likes of Sebastian Eskandar and Sebastian Varda, who did very well at the opening round of the championship. So a number of big names up there not running, including Dylan O'Keefe, the Porsche Carrera Cup Australia champion. So in place is both Jackson Raihana and Jet Saragi. So they're both going to be jumping in and giving a go, and it's a shame to see some drivers out, but this is your last chance really to get a big rest, Zach, before you get through the gauntlet of 6 races in 12 weeks.
Exactly, and that's why we've got the procedure in place whereby if a driver's not available, then there are a couple of reserve drivers that the category organisers can call upon and say, do you want to come and have a steer? So a wonderful opportunity for Jackson Raihana and Jet Saragi to step up to the plate and shine on the big stage. We've seen Raihana do that on numerous occasions in the past. Benny Patterson said to me last week that he's still trying to get to grips with what he refers to as the pogo stick. That's, of course, the car we're racing tonight, the Porsche 992.2. That is a huge list, bigger than usual, of absentees. Disappointing for Corey Lazarus because we know what a gun operator he is behind the wheel of a Porsche Cup car. So I look forward to seeing him back on the grid in due course, and hopefully he'll be able to buy a little bit of luck when he does return to the cockpit. We jump on board here with Jet Saragi right on cue. We were just talking about him being drafted in for the night, as 2 minutes is all that's left in the opening and only practice session for round 4 of the Moza Racing Porsche Pro Invitational Series. And as Sperry said, it's live, exclusive and free across the SimSpeed Esports Network, and of course the great people for the Australian Racing Group, Sim Racing Group as well, the ASRG. And what a busy year they're having, of course, with their V8 operation in enduro mode from this Friday night. So a lot of great top-level sim racing motorsport out of Australia in the last week of June.
Absolutely, and so a lot of people have a lot of help out there to try and go through. And I'd just like to to take this moment just before we head into qualifying here to pay a shout out over to one of our members at the Australian Sim Racing Group, Jordan Ross, who'll be watching this one tonight from hospital. So hopefully, rest assured, everything's all nice and okay and you're back to full fitness in not too long out there. Love Jordan Ross is a huge part of the community and helping to get all of this put together. Dean Mackay, fastest in practice. Now, he's done that on a 51.7, which indicates to me a very strong toe, Zach.
Which bodes well for a lot of slipstreaming and drafting throughout the course of the race. It'll be interesting to see how much of an impact that has during, or how much of a part that plays, more to the point, during the qualifying session as well, Jake. We've seen it on so many occasions already throughout the course of this season. It's only a 20-minute session. The onus is going to be on the drivers to get out there, get the tyres warmed up, get ready to go early. And we've seen a few guys not successfully knock their first attempt out of the park. They've had to reset, recalibrate, go again. Remember, if you get a toe in qualifying, it's an automatic park it up, you're done. We'll see at the rear of the grid for race one. But more to the point, if you muck up your first run here, it's a 3-minute and 50-second lap. 3 minutes and 50 at the bare minimum you're working with. So it's a 20-minute qualifying session. You can see where I'm going. There aren't too many opportunities to roll the dice here. And that'll be playing on everybody's minds as they get ready for that qualifying session.
Yeah, so that's going to be critical out there. We'll take a look at the practice times. Dean Mackay, 4/10 clear of Zach Rattray White, a full second ahead of Ansel Sabo, Stuart Ellis, and the championship leader, Damon Woods there. Reese Wakefield, Hayden Veld, Miles Burgess there in 8th, Jack Widders there for CJM Motorsport, and Ewan Baker for Synergy makes up the top 10 as they go. Now, 20 minutes has now started and qualifying underway in the mad scramble to get out of the pit, so important. And winner of the mad scramble out of the pit, Zach, well, no shocks, it's Damon Woods.
Yeah, exactly. Might not necessarily have been terribly pleased with being 5th in practice, but it is only practice. It doesn't paint the full picture of how this night plays out. So he knows the importance of clear track first up in qualifying, and he's running with that and going like a scalded cat for 2 reasons. A, he wants the clear air, but he also doesn't want anyone behind him benefiting from that huge toe that you mentioned only a couple of moments ago.
Passing the trees on the left-hand side that were cut back in the early 2010s after the death of Alan Simonson earlier on there. But this long Mulsanne straight, you run from roundabout to roundabout here along this run on the Pays de la Loire region, and Damon knows he's a calm customer. He understands that he is not going to be too perturbed by what's going on, and you're looking to try and get your tyres into an operating window. Normally we talk about a regular circuit out there, Zach, saying it's going to take 3 to 4 laps. Because this lap is so long here at Le Mans, I reckon it's only going to take 2 laps before they're up to full speed.
Absolutely, which is not a bad thing considering that they're probably only going to get at most 4 flying laps in this session, and that's if they need to. I mean, there's something to be said about if you can bank a lap, do it early and see how it rides, and if you have to go out and push for a second lap, do so. But I'm not sure any of these guys will want to be at full tilt for the duration of the 20 minutes. It's going to be about 8 minutes into the session before we even get some representative times on our scoreboard on the left-hand side of your screen there, ladies and gentlemen, to be able to reference and talk about. Here's Simon Mesimo. Yes, the BG setup. Have a look at him. Barry Gibb doing his best work down the Mulsanne once more. We had some fun with that in the chat thread on Discord after the second round of the championship, of course. Here's Mez. And he will be hoping for a strong showing tonight as well. But he's a lonely duck at the moment. He hasn't got a dance partner. And again, referencing that slipstream effect here at the Circuit de la Sarthe, everybody else has got a little bit of a leg up there. It'll be interesting to see if Mez can find someone to dance with around this 13.5-kilometre circuit. We pick up Jackson Rayhanen out for Summit Sim Sports, of course, the number 57, one of the substitutes coming in off the bench for tonight, and he'll be hoping to make his mark.
He certainly will do, and he's in a... Look, this is qualifying and they want track position here. Dylan Shepherd overtaking Lockie Capel there in the 018. So that's a really big sense of where you want to be. And actually, more important to that here, Lachlan Capel has directly behind Jackson Raihana, Lockhart Brownlee. So is this something where the Logitech G Orbit Drop Bear cars are going to start running themselves together and say, we want to join as a pack and a group? Angus Lawford there for Project 36 is sitting in this one thinking, there might be some games here, but you run out of time now to play these games, Zach, because you've got to get into line now for the Porsche curves and this run all the way through to the karting S's, the rear cordon and the start of the lap.
Yeah, there's a fair section of this circuit where you can run in tandem and 2x2. But then you get to that Porsche curve section, Jake, as you say, it's the last section or last sector of the lap, more to the point, and it is pretty much a one-line groove. It'll be fairly hairy and ambitious if anyone's wanting to go 2x2 through there. You may see some late dive bombs on lap 6 of race 1, lap 8 of race 2, when it's now or never, but certainly not in qualifying. It'll be completely unnecessary, and I'm sure race control will be clamping down on any misdemeanors whatsoever through that part of the circuit. Here's Damon Woods through the Dunlop chicane out on his first flying lap, which he will hope will be the benchmark for everybody else to try and match or better throughout the course of this 20-minute qualifying session for round 4 of the championship. Races 7 and 8, only about 25 minutes away now, folks.
So, Damon Woods pushing hard out of the Tetra Rouge chicane and into the Tetra Rouge corner here, trying to really maximise it, but you can't go too far over on the left-hand side. Otherwise, you'll pick up a slowdown penalty. The lap will be invalidated, and there's not much they can do. Running through on the right-hand side, you've got the Stade Marie-Mar Vangt, which is home to the Le Mans football and rugby clubs, then that do so very well. Le Mans Football Club, 3rd tier, I believe, of French football, and the team of Le Mans, 1st tier of French rugby, as into the Daytona chicane. He goes for the first time, just hitting his marks, looking to make sure there's not much travel, pushes wide off the exit. That might be a bit of understeer that will struggle that pace then to go and get it back. And the worry will be Dean Mackay is in the perfect place just to get the tow rope out and say, look, pull me along to your fast lap.
It's almost like watching a skier with the rope being towed along on the back of the boat along the lake. I know you'd prefer to be at a lake nearby cooling off at this point of the day, Jake. It's very heatwave-ish in your part of the world, whereas we're gathering around a fireplace down under here in Australia tonight. There is Damon Woods through the first sector of the lap, 1 minute 0.409. You can see that on the bottom of your screen there, folks, 52.633 to the second sector. And, of course, this is a 4 minute or there enough lap, ladies and gentlemen, of which you are full throttle. We're reliably informed by super producer Jay Kennedy for about 3 minutes of it. So about 75% of the lap time-wise, as opposed to length of the circuit-wise, time-wise, you're at full tilt for about 75%. So these engines will be begging for mercy by the end of the night.
Damon Woods dipping a tyre into the gravel at Mulsanne corner, so very much pushing to an aggressive level, trying to get off of the exit. The oversteer that was there, oversteer and torque steer as he put the power down. Look at this, having to get massive amounts of correction there to get that into line, but only one correction where I think drivers a little bit further down in the pack there, Zach, would be looking around, and they would maybe make 2 or 3 movements on the steering wheel to get that back into line. He has got that Porsche singing where he can only go, right, I'm going to put 90 degrees of lock on it, and if it doesn't come back, then it doesn't come back.
Yeah, hoping and praying almost at this point. And that's the thing. You are going to fight this. As you said a few moments ago, it's probably going to be a lap and a half, 2 laps into the session before these cars are completely at their perfect optimum, up to temperature, etc., etc. And Damon Woods is finding that out the hard way at the moment. Even the best in the business are susceptible to the odd little slip up here and there. So let's watch as they go through the left-hander, as they make their way down towards the end of the lap and that massive pit complex here at the Circuit de la Sarthe. We've got our eyes on Damon Woods. The marker in practice was in the 351s. Where will this first flying lap sit?
Well, Damon Woods would be the sort of driver who's also eyeing up the likes of the Porsche Esports Super Cup. Qualifiers will be beginning for the Australians next week, 3:53.3. That's a tenth off of his fastest lap out there in practice. It's half a second for Dean Mackay. Keep an eye out now as these times will start lobbing themselves in. Antal Sabo then up to second, taking the best drive. Byron Pierce on the other side of the circuit right now. So we'll get drivers here who are basically having to do a lot of donkey work out there with the Tour de France starting next week. There's going to be a few domestiques out here in qualifying.
Cannot believe we're already at that point of the year where we're talking about that little cycle race around France, eh? Just a casual 3,500 kilometre pedal. Taking in the sights and sounds of one of the great parts of the world, and our Australian audience will be able to watch that, complementing the FIFA World Cup coverage on SBS, of course. Here's Jared McLeod to the end of his lap, one of those donkeys you mentioned there a few moments ago, in terms of doing the donkey work. Across the start-finish line for him, and the lap is outside the 4-minute threshold, so that's the other point as well. A lot of these drivers nowhere near their optimum pace on that opening flying lap. Sam Chapman, the three-time Australian Open World Nationals champion, and managed to win a Porsche Cup series on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club last season as well. We put that down to the effort that he's been putting in, working with this car in a bid to be competitive here in this series, the Moza Racing Porsche Pro Invitational. He crosses the line and goes out on another flying lap. And Byron Pierce is still not even yet at the end of the first flying lap for him. And we are only 10 minutes and 45 seconds away from the checkered flag flying. So already this session is pretty much at the halfway mark. It happens, it comes and goes very quickly, especially when it's a 13.5 kilometre circuit and only a 20-minute session.
So Byron will know that this is going to be huge. Zach Rattray White, after the first qualifying lap, down in 19th position at 3 seconds adrift. So he's going to have to look at really bucking his ideas up in the second qualifying lap that he's got available to him. Pierce through the rear cordon, back over then towards the stripes. It's a short burst at 180 Ks. That lap won't count, and so it'll be another go around. And here's the thing. If you pick up an off-track incident point, Zach, the worst thing about it is you've just given away a quarter of your qualifying session.
Yeah, that voids your lap. Absolutely. So working within the parameters and knowing where those limits are, Jake, they're two key ingredients and aspects to a successful qualifying run here at the Circuit de la Sarthe, irrespective of all the other different circumstances and factors you've got to take into consideration at any other circuit at any other time of the year. Here, more than any of the above, maybe the Nordschleifer is the other obvious exception to the rule, you cannot afford to trigger the off-track. At least most of the other circuits on the calendar, you're talking anywhere between, a minute and a half at Phillip Island, 2 minutes 10 at Bathurst. You've got time to work with. Here, time is of the essence, time is the enemy. So avoiding an off-track at all costs is the aim of the game. Zach Rattray White in 19th is a huge storyline, particularly if it means that he's got to chase his tail in race one. Of course, Jake's already mentioned the importance of qualifying and then, of course, converting into a race one performance in reference to the success that Damon Woods has enjoyed throughout the course of this season. This is his main rival in the championship fight, and this could be a huge leg up for Damon Woods unless Rattray White can pull a number out over the course of the next 10 minutes. Which, let's be brutally honest, boys, we're not putting it past him because we know what this guy brings to the table. He backed out of this lap. He's backed out of this lap. He's going to reset and go again. So it's going to be 4 more minutes before we get a fair reflection of where Rattray White sits pace-wise tonight. And as I throw it back to you, mate, Antal Sabo, there's a guy that's flying under the radar but done so very impressively throughout the course of the season. Nice to see him sitting P2 at the moment.
Yeah, he's doing a great job. Marina Morella up to 6th. Dylan Shepherd finds a place and moves to 4th. Tice Hodge to 14th. Sam Muir up then into 18th position. Here's Lockhart Brownlee then crossing for his second lap across the board, and I think he'll be looking pretty good in terms of where he sits. Rick Kuznetsov up into the top 10 now, making good progress. Jared McLeod currently trying to eye this up. Damon Woods with a slight improvement to a 53.2, puts him half a second clear at the moment in qualifying. And you talk about half a second here would be about a 10th at the Nürburgring last time out.
Exactly right. And an inch is as good as a mile. But he had the inch, just as you say, it's a little bit a wider window to work with, half a second. But then again, you look at that, and we're not talking about the field being covered by, or a percentage of the field being covered by a second. We're talking about the top 11 being covered by 2 seconds at the moment, top 12, in fact. So, yes, big margins early on. We suspect that the racing will play out a little bit differently once everybody's bunched up and squabbling for position. You will see just a conga line, a freight train of cars in battle packs, which will give it a little bit of a Moto 3 vibe maybe, but it won't take long to sort itself out. And we've got 6 laps to do so in race 1 and, of course, 8 in race 2. The one thing we're hoping we don't see tonight, of course, is the Moza Racing Pro Invitational Series safety car, because it's a very long lap behind that thing, considering it's a 13.5-kilometre lap. Oh, hang on, here we go. OG Gear replay as they head down the Mulsanne.
Whoosh. Pulled over to the right.
Watch
Also,
this.
there's going to be contact between these two.
Bang.
Oh, there's a bump there. That's going to invalidate both their laps coming down into the second chicane there, the Michelin chicane. So that's going to be disastrous there for the pair of those. And on top of that, Zach, let's put this into perspective. If you don't get back around with 3:55 at least on the clock, that's it. That's your final lap of the session, because we're on a hard count here in heat qualifying.
We certainly are. We were just having it transmitted through our earpiece as well, Jake, for the benefit of everybody at home. It was the 10 and the 51, the cars of Brock Gilchrist and Stefan McCartan, more argy-bargy at the end of the lap. So race control are going to be busy examining this with a fine-tooth comb, and we haven't even gone racing yet. We pick up Marino Morella sitting 6th at the moment. Margin first to second is still half a second. Woods over Sabo, Mackay, Shepherd, Wakefield the top 5. And this guy who inherited the win in race 2 at the Nürburgring last time out, we're hoping to have a chat to him on the grid walk, is sitting 6th right now, which, you know, I mean, it's not a front row start, but it's a lot better off than what Zach Ratray White is right now. So he'll be sitting pretty and not too displeased with that, I would imagine.
P26 right now for Zach Ratray White. He's coming around the Porsche curves behind Marino Morella, who's down on Dean Mackay as far as I'm seeing at the moment. So this is going to be about who can navigate what, 4:17. So this is going to be really close between those who can go again and those who can't. Damon's got one more. Dean Mackay's going to get one more. Morella pushes maybe a little bit too hard, but gains a little bit more in terms of time, in terms of his effort, does not gain a position. Now watch out on the clock, because I'm looking around at who's going to be the last one over the line. I would say that Tice Hodge is just going to miss out. So Jack Widders will have one last attempt out there, and that's the last drive to look at. So these drivers crossing, final attempts. Rick Kuznetsov is going to be one who desperately needs to jump to the top 5. How good's this going to be as he crosses? Doesn't count in terms of laps. Stuart Ellis now thinking about the push over to the line. He's not going to get there. There's movement about here in this top 10, because ZR Dub up to 5 in terms of his position, and Miles Burgess down in 26th place. He'll want to try and get himself on up, and he does a 3:56 flat, so he's going to jump, well, 3:55 flat, sorry. That's going to jump him up to 13th. Scott Rankin out of position.
Currently sitting 27th. Let's see what he can muster up. But it will be nothing. It'll be nothing, because this lap's in the 4-minute 30s, ladies and gentlemen. Rankin across the line and sitting 27th, and a sitting duck at that, because the 19 is on screen now. This was coming onto the main straight, all out of shape. Too much of the sausage curb, and Porsche doing Porsche things from there on in, pirouetting, and had company as well. So it became somewhat of a parking lot there at the final corner, Jake.
Well, they're pushing so hard through that final section. The key's going to be they've got to get as much travel as they can over the curbs to just bound over, take the path of least resistance. And that's where you're seeing all of that worry come into play, that if you take too much and the tyres don't grip up, you're just going to be spinning around. It's so easy to do in these Porsche 992.2s, these cup cars. Byron Pierce then will be one of the last cars looking for his lap, and he hasn't set any time yet on the board. No. He's looking for an opportunity to move on up and say, look, this is what I'm about. Lovely carry through the final chicane. How is this going to be for Byron? Answer is it's a nothing. So he's going to again find himself at the back, having to do all of the legwork to try and bring it through. Damon Woods here has given up his lap, but he is now giving Zach Rattray-White a tow in the final minute and a half.
So that's a big story in its own right. Good sportsmanship there between that pair as Rattray-White now goes to the outside. He's looking to improve on P5, get out of jail free card. The fact that he was able to get up into the top 5 in the first place. Anything from here is a bonus. We ride with him. He's got it crossed up, but he's okay on the run through the back half of the lap. You mentioned cars that haven't set a representative time yet. We're talking Gilchrist, we're talking McCartan, we're talking Veld, we're talking Pierce, and we're talking Chapman as well. So already a lot of drivers in this field know exactly where they're heading, and it is the back of a very big Porsche grid.
We know that Hayden Veld is a carryover penalty, so in his regard, he'll be looking at that going, right, I'm going to be trying to eye that up as they go and say, I've got the hard work and it was laid out before I even turned a lap tonight. So Zach Rattray-White will have eyes on, can he get himself up the order? Dean Mackay still on a fast lap here. He's in third currently, coming to the rear quarter mont. 25 seconds remaining here in qualifying. This one going right down to the death. Dean Mackay crosses the line. 53.5 front row with that attempt. Great work from Dean Mackay. Now does Zach Rattray-White have enough, the Kiwi, to upset the apple cart, move himself up to the front, pushing with everything he's got. His 53.5 is 7,000 shy. 3 seconds. Seth Brown doesn't improve on his attempt, and that will do it for qualifying. Some late times to jump up. 4 from 4, though, is the big key, as Damon Woods will put himself once again on pole position, a 3:53.220. Dean Mackay, though, alongside for company on that front row for OPR X Gamma Flare. You then got Zach Rattray-White and Antal Sabo third and fourth, with Dylan Shepherd in fifth and Reese Wakefield in sixth. 3 OPR Gamma Flare cars in the top 6. Marina Morella and Lachlan Capel are on row 4, with Rick Kuznetsov ninth and Jack Widders on the bubble spot in 10th position, as Zach Kerr and Tom Bewley house row 6 of the grid. In 13th then, as the tricolor will go by out on circuit, Miles Burgess and Seth Brown, as Lockhart Brownlee and Ryan Jones will have the 8th row of the grid. Ryan Jones for DPR Racing, Stuart Ellis at OPR Gamma Flare, and Ewan Baker at Singy Sim Racing make up row number 9. Your top 20 then will round with Zachary Hanlon and Tice Hodge, with Simon Mazzomo in the blackjack position of 21st. Angus Lawford with 2 Little Ducks for Project 36 in 22nd. It's then Jacob O'Reilly and Jackson Raihana for Summit Sim Sports there in 24th. As over we go to row number 13, where Sam Muir and Jordan Malcolm find themselves, with Scott Rankin, Pat Klein and Jet Saragi, the last drivers to set times, which means Hayden Veld, on the count of his iRating, will then have 30th, ahead of Stefan McCartain and Brock Gilchrist, Hugo Allen and Sam Chapman, with Jared McLeod, Byron Pierce there in 36th, leaving just the final 2 of Jed Van Hemert and Harry Lawrence making up a 38-car field today. It's nice to see that Mike Korolev has got more iRating than the safety cars and race control and everyone else who is there and out there. Zach, you have taken yourself down onto the virtual grid out there, as you'll take a little wander around and see who you can chat to.
I feel a little bit overdressed for this, actually. It's a beautiful sparkle of a day at Le Mans, and I'm rugged up as though I'm heading for the slopes of Perisher. But yes, Jake, let's go grid walk style on a Wednesday night, getting ready for race 1 of round 4 of the Moza Racing Porsche Pro Invitational Series. Let's drag in Marino Morello. We'll then have Miles Burgess, ladies and gentlemen. We've got 7th on the grid and 13th on the grid, the 2 lucky numbers for some at least. Marino, good to have you here, mate. Nice to have a chance to chew the fat with you. We've got 7.5 minutes before you guys are out there turning wheels in anger once more. Talk to me about how you were feeling when you were told only a week and a half ago that you have been given the race win after a late post-race penalty was handed to the unofficial winner on the night, which was, of course, the championship leader, Damon Woods, mate.
Yeah, no, I was feeling pretty stoked about it. Obviously, my 2 teammates in front of me at the end of the race got those penalties, and I never like to see them suffer and me gain. But certainly carrying some confidence into this race about how to go about racing in this. I think it's just right place, right time, and having a little bit of luck on my side and keeping the car clean for the most part got me that win, which is pretty exciting.
That's the thing at the end of the day, mate. You've got to keep your wits about you for one. B, keep it clean. Play within the parameters of the rule book. You did that, and you reap the reward as a result. Talk to me about Le Mans, mate, because obviously sprint racing around here is a bit of a novelty. We're off for 6 laps in a few moments' time. It'll come and go very quickly. But was that or was that not potentially the hardest qualifying session of the year?
Yeah, certainly one of the hardest qualifying sessions of the year. Like around here, you only get 3 good chances to really make you stay. And obviously with people playing tow games and trying to slipstream each other for the best top speed on the straights, it makes it really difficult. But obviously in the Eclipse stable, we've really tuned up the car for the heat, not necessarily for the cold. So we're hoping to reap the rewards in the race where we actually get points and not in qualifying. So yeah, looking forward to this one for sure.
7th, is it a win? Can you win it from there? Is it a winnable position? How are you feeling about that? And what's the plan of attack for the 6 laps, mate?
Plan of attack is to just keep it clean, as I've been trying to do all season with mixed success. But look, don't think I'll be going for the win today, but want to have got some teammates around me. We want to try and pull into the points a little bit, but it's clear our car's got speed with people like Zach up the front and Damo running a similar setup. So look, anything's open for interpretation here. Just our goal is to not get slowdowns and maintain that position.
Zach must have been breathing a sigh of relief after being able to yank one out there at the end after being well down the order about halfway through the session.
Yeah, for sure. He was definitely sweating towards the end, but look, we work as a team when things like this happen, and I unfortunately messed up my last lap and gave him a tow on the middle straight, and everything kind of fell into place for him, which is great to see.
You mentioned the tow. How much of a role is that going to play in how people go about executing their racecraft, mate, and you especially?
Look, I think it's going to play a massive part. We know about 0.6 is where you actually gain quite a bit of speed, but I think you'll see people being able to break away from gaps if they're fast enough. So try and be careful with the moves and keep in with a train, and maybe we'll see a few little battle packs form towards the end of the race, I think.
All right, mate, very nicely done. You get 2 bites at the cherry. Let's hope you're within that top 10 invert for race 2, and let's hope we're having a chat to you at the end of the night. Go well.
Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it.
And we'll go from 7th on the grid down to, as I said earlier, the other lucky number, if you're not of the superstitious variety, of course. I'll bring in Miles Burgess for a chat at this particular point in time. And thank you to super producer Jay Kennedy for facilitating that. Miles, good evening to you, mate. Welcome into the booth. Let's have a chat about you and your season so far. How are you feeling after 3 rounds with 9 still to go?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, pretty good so far. Honestly, I feel like I'm doing a lot better than I should be. But yes, hopefully some of the boys have some good results tonight, because some of them up the front with quali. Good quali for Dean. Hopefully I can just do a good job. Get Motec and Gamma Flare nice and happy for us, with them being our main sponsors and technical partners. But yeah, just hoping for a nice clean race, and honestly avoid the slowdowns because they're pretty tricky.
I've just had a note pass through to me from the commentary box. 13th on the grid, 13th in the championship. That's a nod for consistency. Talk me through the challenges of qualifying. Marino's already mentioned some gamesmanship was unfolding out there with toes and everything else. How'd you go about it?
Yeah, there's definitely a bit of a discussion in the team about how we wanted to attack that. But for myself, honestly, it's avoid any traffic. Just try and keep it clean, because even on my first lap, I got caught up a bit in the Ford chicane. So for myself, it's mostly just try and avoid the 0x, avoid the 1x, and just put something in, because we only get 3 laps here. So that's the main goal.
And that places such huge pressure on you guys to go out there, nail the lap, get it done, maybe have a second bite of the cherry if you're lucky. But everyone's in the same boat, and there are some big winners and losers out of that. You must be thankful that you're starting on the start straight as well, mate, as opposed to all the guys from about 20th back that are weaved in and around the S's there at the end of the lap. It's a very strange start procedure here for a standing start.
Yeah, absolutely. Standing practice is pretty limited between some of the guys I've heard, so I can't imagine doing it around a corner. That wouldn't be too much fun. But yeah, hopefully we can still get a clean getaway.
Our audience at home are about to see a shot of exactly what we're talking about. Last one before I let you go, mate. We've got about 2 minutes before we get going here. The plan of attack for this opening race, 3 spots is all you need to gain to be in the invert for race 2. How do you go about achieving a top 10 finish?
I think the big thing is the slowdowns, because they're really easy to get here and they're quite punishing with some of them, especially the one coming off the Mulsanne and a couple in the Ford S's. They're pretty tricky. So honestly, just stay as close as you can to the car in front and avoid those slowdowns. That's my plan of attack.
All right, mate, we're not going to hold you any longer. There's a minute till the green flag drops. Good luck, go well. Hopefully we're having a chat at the end of the night.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
And from the grid, I guess I best vault back up to the commentary box where Jake's standing by, ready for race start. One of the more famed venues on the tour, mates. And interesting that, as I said at the top of the show, we get to go sprint racing here. It's a bit of a novelty, but these guys will bring the action and keep everybody at home absorbed for the next hour and a half, I'm sure.
They absolutely will. And critically, there are 3 penalties that have been added after qualifying. Stefan McCartane, Brock Gilchrist, and Ewan Baker all had 10-second penalties for impeding another car out there. And that going through the second and third qualifying laps, all of which, by the way, involved Brock Gilchrist. So he was very busy getting race control's attention out there. 40 degrees track temperature here as we tip ourselves over head over towards 22:12 here in the morning for this first race out there. Let's get ourselves into position, because we know that this is going to be a fast 6 laps out there, and it's about giving yourself the platform to make this race work for you. The green flag drops as they will grid around then at the rear cordon at the back, and a lovely get-go there from Zach Rattray-White. Dean Mackay struggled off for the get-go, immediately puts himself back into seconds. They will drive themselves up towards that first chicane, the Dunlop chicane out there, or what will now be known as the Goodyear chicane. Moving forward, you've got to be really careful tiptoeing it in. The main bolt goes through, but there's a spin in the middle, and they're going to have to go and scatter as 3 cars find themselves around. One of them is the 35 there of Jordan Malcolm. You've got Ewan Baker caught up in it, and Sam Muir, drivers who are right on the fringes of the top 20 to retain their license at the end of the season.
They drop back to 36th, 7th and 8th respectively, Jake. And the fact that Muir didn't move immediately also could spell trouble for the early part of this race. Beautiful start, Damon Woods. We didn't get a chance to talk race strategy, but the importance for Zach Rattray-White to clear second position on the run up the hill, Dean Mackay, and go second to turn 1 sets us up beautifully for a battle between first and second in the championship on this opening lap. 3 wide further back.
Tom Bewley and Jack Whittis using the push to get by Lachlan Capel there. That just shows you the level you've got to be at to go and make this work and stay with the group in front of you. 2 and 3 wides then through the Daytona chicane and back into line, unless you're Jacob O'Reilly, Scott Rankin, Hayden Veld and Hugo Allen looking to try and make this progress. A very important start, and this is the key to the race. You've got to tango with people you don't necessarily want to tango with. Marino Morella dropped here in 4th position from the leading trio. Wakefield, Shepherd, Widders, Bewley, Capel, all in line, and they're all deciding here at the Michelin chicane, right, I guess we're playing then for best of the rest.
And you've also, when you go drafting and do-si-doing with drivers that you don't normally necessarily do the tango with, Jake, that requires a whole new element of trust that you may not necessarily have in those guys around you. So they're getting well acquainted. They're behaving themselves for the moment as they hit the end of the Mulsanne on the opening lap. Lap 1 of just 6, ladies and gentlemen. Damon Woods clear by 0.1 of a second over Zach Ratway-White. Look at him, literally just pushing Damon Woods along at the moment. Mackay sits third. Good start, Marino Morella up 3 spots. The other bloke that we spoke to, Miles Burgess, down 1 at the moment, sitting 4th and 14th. There's Ratway-White. If it weren't for the paint scheme, you'd just assume that they were in tandem. They were conjoined.
Oh, right, Harder, slow down.
Yeah, that'll hurt.
It will. First lap, look at it. Drop back
Huge.
like a stone through the trees here over to Indianapolis corner. He will get back up to speed in front of Hayden Veld and Stefan McCarthy. Car goes off in front of them then in Angus Lawford, and slow off the exit as well then is going to be Jacob O'Reilly as they fight through Arnage corner. So everywhere you look, there is scrap out there to be had, but the one place you can't scrap side by side is the next corners coming up of the fabled Porsche curves.
Yep, and we've seen cars come to blows individually through here in the past. Very easy for them to become unstable, but everybody doing a very nice job of remaining smooth and slick and fast through here on the opening lap. That one-line groove that we spoke about in qualifying. Tom Bewley up into 8th spot. Lachlan Capel is 9th. Rick Kuznetsov just behind them, sitting on the invert pole at the moment if things were to stay as they are. But again, this is Le Mans and there are another 5 laps to go. I highly doubt that this is the finishing order as we're looking at it right now. 1 gone, and like all good things, it came and went far too quickly.
Yeah, 5 more laps then left in this race. Slow out the final corner, spin out the final corner. Goodness gracious me, there's cars in the wall back there. Jet Saragi in the wall then, and he's going to have to try and get himself back up to speed again. Everybody's gone by without too much worry at all, but there was a spin directly in front of him that caused the Team Max Boost car to have no luck at all. And I believe out of it was Lockhart Brownlee going over the curbs that caused the chain reaction. And look at this with Jackson Raihana. Elbows out to 954. Bang! Big hit. That's going to come back across circuit. This car's upside down.
Unfortunately, we've had our first big one of the night. Scott Rankin's caught up in that. One car still flipping up and down, Byron Pierce. We've had our first biggie, and it only took 1 or maybe a 1/10 of the second lap, ladies and gentlemen. Mechanical meatball flags for Malcolm Pierce and O'Reilly already, and that could well be that safety car we were dreading.
I think it's going to have to be out there. It's a huge old hit, but the one thing that you can argue is they've got a lot of time to clear incidents out there, so it could be one where they say, right, it's okay. I want to focus here on Reese Wakefield, who is in 5th position. He's having a brilliant drive at the moment, especially when you consider right now here, Zach, that he stands 21st in the championship.
He does indeed. There was a slide down further back. We take the OG Gear replay, Ewan Bacon, that opening lap. That incident that we spoke of up at the Dunlop chicane. And yes, as you can see, there are a lot of drivers either self-sacrificing or taking evasive action, one or the other. And as a result of that, at the end of the opening lap, Jake, we didn't get a chance to mention it, but there was already somewhere in the vicinity of half a minute separating first and last in this field due to incidents and the time lost trying to get yourself pointed back in the right direction, particularly for Sam Muir, who's been the big beneficiary of the carnage on the second lap, of course, moving from 38th up into 34th position as we continue to squabble down the Mulsanne, and already some defence work going on down there as we pick up Reese Wakefield, and behind him Marino Morella, and of course he's the odd one out because he's arguing with the two teammates either side of him at the moment. And let's ride at the end of the lap on the second of the OG gear replays to figure out what happened to Saragi. Too much curb, and then unfortunately an incident ahead of him, and he just got checked up. It was Brownlee that was pointed around the wrong way. He got checked up. He had next to no reaction time, next to no opportunity to get out of the way, Jake.
And we can confirm that O'Reilly and Byron Pierce have been allowed their toes, so no safety car needed to be called for this, because this is where it gets chipper. It's the 954 of Simon Mazzomo, stuck on the outside, fights his way back, and then back across the circuit. God, that's a lot of virtual damage out there with hits like that. I would not want to see the repair bill in real life.
Come to think of it, we were very lucky this year at the 24-hour of Le Mans, weren't we, that we didn't get necessarily a big incident like that. But yes, you're right, that would be a huge bill. It'd be a couple of cars being written off for the night had this been a real-world event. Antal Sabo's got a black flag next to his name at the moment. And I'm wondering what that might be for, ladies and gentlemen. We'll chase that information up. And iRacing issued black flag is the word coming through to us.
Slow down then.
So not serving the slowdown, Jake. So, yeah, okay, that takes it. We were just singing his praises 15 minutes ago. Antal's been rubbed out of the equation for this opening heat of the night, unfortunately.
And it does happen when you cut a corner and you've got to try and serve it down. Drivers love to serve slowdown penalties tactically. And Sabo now taking the very tricky pit entrance down on into the pit. So he's now going to have to take that service, and understands as well that Jackson Raihana is in the same boat as well. He's got a penalty that he's got to serve. It's either that or it's the fact that they are tiptoeing over the incident limit that we don't see, and I don't think that it's going to be that after just 2 laps worth of racing action that they've got. So let's take stock. Woods and Rattray White, 1 and 2. Dean Mackay desperately trying to hold on in 3rd. We're down in 10th position at the moment in this mega pack with Kuznetsov, Capel, Shepherd, Bewley, who's here in this one as well, trying to fight on through. Zach Kerr and Seth Brown on the back. These are all important positions right now, because remember, the top 10, Zach, invert. So where Rick Kuznetsov is right now is pole for the main race.
And remember, he was pole for that second race at the Hockenheim ring. What did he do? He went on and won it. So he took that opportunity. He'll be very quietly happy with where he's sitting right now, but Zach Kerr might have something to say about that as they head down the Mulsanne for the 3rd time. At the moment, happy to follow his teammate through. Rick Kuznetsov is 10th, Lachlan Cable is 9th, Tom Bewley is 8th as we make our way through. Sitting on the bubble here is, of course, Kuznetsov, Kerr, Brown just in behind as well. But then it's a big gap back to Miles Burgess, who has got himself up into position number 13. So he's back to where he started as a result of all of that squabbling that went on at the start of the second lap that eliminated a few. It's getting feisty here, 3 wide.
Zach Hanlon sees Hugo Allen to the inside, Angus Lawford on the outside, and the middle of the road actually is the best place to defend on the Mulsanne because it's crowned, and so you get the best of the tyres and the camber that's available. Hanlon now side by side with Hayden Veld, who thinks he can pick one up on the exit here at the Michelin chicane, and soon Stefan McCartney might want in. Welcome to the freight train.
And what a freight train it is. We mentioned that this could possibly be a scenario that we had to contend with, and already evidential. Oh, hip and shoulder on lap 3 as Hanlon and Veld go side by side, and also in behind them, of course, is McCartan. Oh, no, that's a big, big moment. Thankfully, looks as though he's got away with it, though, Jake. He'll tuck back into the slipstream and reset and go again.
Basically ran him out of road there, did Zach Hanlon. Hayden Veld will feel very, very unhappy about that because he should be entitled to at least racing room, and he wouldn't have got that as Wakefield and Morella fight it out then for 4th and 5th positions. There have been penalties from the opening lap as well. Pat Klein and Lockhart Brownlee both have 10-second penalties that will be added at the end of the race. It will not affect, though, critically, their positions where they finish out there. There is the Project 36 car of Angus Lawford, who now looks for a run out of Arnage to the Porsche curves. Hugo Allen is driving brilliantly here for Auto Moves at the moment, trying to get himself up through the order and saying, look, I am going to have everything I can and then some. And he's got a very experienced driver helping him out as his spotter today, Zach, in the form of Jordan McDonnell.
And how handy is it to have, not everybody has the luxury, of course, but how handy is it to have an experienced campaigner in the spotters department around a circuit as notorious as this? We're right on board with Tyce Hodge in 16th. He's got Hugo Allen and Angus Lawford for company. Stephen McCartan, Zach Hamlin, Lockhart, Brownlee and Haydenville all in tow here. Simon Mesmo at the back of it. Tyce Hodge, the leader of the freight train, doing all the heavy lifting at the moment. They are 2.3 seconds away from the top 15. That 15th spot currently being held down by another commentary colleague of ours in Ryan Jones. We've already seen the other commentary colleague in Scott Rankin on screen tonight. Hugo Allen, Stephen McCartan, Harry Lawrence and Hayden Veld, your big movers so far, ladies and gentlemen. Hugo Allen up 16 spots already. Hayes to keep a clean set of heels around the Circuit de la Sarthe. We'll be talking about that again, no doubt, in the second race. Lap 4 is 6, so already half race distance has come and gone. Importantly, Ratway White has now broken 2 seconds clear of Dean Mackay, so it's now firmly, definitively a battle in two at the front of this field. Out along the Mulsanne for the fourth time we go.
Well, Damon Woods is starting to turn the screw here, 7/8 tenths of a second right now, and Zach is trying desperately to hold on because Netsov, though, gets the clearance through, or loses ground, sorry, because he's got a slow down penalty that he has to serve coming out of Tetra Rouge, and so that is going to potentially put him on the outside looking in. Seth Brown to 11th, Zach Kerr now in the transfer spot of 10th, and we'll be looking at that going, these are all important points. I don't want to be fighting too hard around with it, and we'll be very happy with it. And there's Zach Rattray White, who's dropping ground and time. And I think he's hit the wall off the exit there as he's come off of the Daytona chicane. And that is a very bizarre moment. The wheel just did not want to play about. Either that or he completely, he's had wheel issues and thrown it in the wall.
These are defining moments in this championship fight. We said it couldn't be won tonight, but maybe it can be lost. And this will be a game changer for the night. Bang! Big, heavy hit for Zach Ratway White. He's opening race and a second whack as well. He's opening race done, and an uphill rod for him in the second race now as well, Jake, because he'll be coming not from the fifth row of the grid, but maybe beyond. The question is, it's only a mechanical meatball. Can he persevere with this? Does he have to come to pit lane to clear it, or can he persevere with it for the final 2 laps?
Well, he gave the camera a huge thumbs up there to say, yeah, that's my mistake out there. What great driving by me out, and he struggled, and he's managed to fix whatever issue it was, but he's now behind Marino Morella and Reese Wakefield out there. There's damage to the front left corner, no shocks on that, but ultimately, these are moments in the championship that you've got to start thinking about. Yeah, you're not losing as many as you do on a main race, but it's still points that you're dropping. And speaking of that, Bewley sees Dylan Shepherd getting himself back into the picture. He jumps back into the middle. Kerr and Brown fighting for the transfer. Look at that. They're fighting hard. 1, 2, 6, all in place. Simon Mazzomo giving it all, and that what for out there as he scraps out with Lockhart, Brownlee, Tyce Hodge. Then see Stefan McCartan on the tightrope, deciding he wants to get the move.
I have a fair degree of sympathy, Jake, for whoever's got to go back and manually adjust the results once the penalties are applied after this one tonight. Remember, once they cross the line, folks, results are provisional because we've got some 10-second invoices to be handed out. And maybe some more to come in the second race as well. We pick up Stephen McCartan, chasing Tyce Hodge. Angus Lawford's in there as well. These guys are fighting over the final spots in the top 20. And Sabo in a little bit of trouble now as well.
Yeah, so Ansel Sabo's pulled it over at Tetra Rouge, and I'm not quite sure why. And ultimately, he's had a spin of his own accord, and he's been allowed to tow back to pit. So that's another car then that finds itself in retirement central. And a real shame for that as Dylan Shepherd now goes on to what will be the final lap of this race with Damon Woods 3.7 seconds clear at the front of the pack. And I think our producers just had a little look and gone, oh,
Yeah.
wow, I wasn't quite expecting that. So I'm sure, we're going to get a replay here of Tabo. Oh, he's on the grass out of the chicane, and then he's just been unable to hold it, and he's looped it around through Tetra Rouge there, Zach.
Again, just illustrating how deadly the grass can be. As soon as you grab that green stuff, you end up being a passenger. It's a dry day at Le Mans, but this is obviously very, very slick and slippery. Oh, and the bumps didn't help either. And that's a monumental hit. Got all ends of the car on the Armco, on the grass, spun and done. And unfortunately, that's just adding salt into the wound of what's been a wretched night, a race to forget for Antal Sabo.
Yeah, and Stefan McCartney unhappy. He's had contact with Tice Hodges. Tice will lose out now to Hayden Veld. We go further forward on this final lap of race 1 tonight. Race 2 will be coming up pretty shortly. Marino Morella here in 4th. This for a podium against Reese Wakefield. And what a moment this could be, Zach, going from what is 21st in the championship to suddenly podium contender.
It's a great storyline for the championship, isn't it? Here he is setting up the move on Race Wakefield. In fact, eyeing off an opportunity to push him along. Just a casual text, SMS, hi, how you going? I'm here if you slip up once. Marino Morella eyeing off a podium in the closing stages. A lap and a half to go. They're not catching Damon Woods, but it's great to see some lively battles for positions 2 and beyond. Second up for grabs, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, all up for grabs as they make their way down the Mulsanne. Angus Lawford there in 18th spot. Chases Hayden Veld. Ryan Jones just ahead of them. They haven't been able to reel him in just yet. He's about 3 seconds up the road. Still 2 and 3 wide in some parts as they sort themselves out. Oh! Lachlan Capel in the thick of it with Zach Kerr, and also Seth Brown capitalising on that as well. Kerr holds on to 9th. Brown, though, goes into the invert. And what can Capel offer up in response to that to try and get himself an invert pole, Jake? This is important here.
Yeah, he's got to find a way back, and the last great place to get a pass done is coming up at Indianapolis corner, so that's critical. Tom Bewley pushing Jack Widders around is going to want to try and get close here out there, but Reese Wakefield still holds his 3rd place at the moment. We go back to Seth Brown. Capel holds himself for a chance to try and get that move. He is in then Seth Brown's DMs. Zach Kerr holding on to that 9th place is going to be careful, and watch out for slowdowns out of the final chicane because they've got to be careful. There's Ewan Baker off the road. That's trouble. Now there's side by side for 9th. It's going to be a chance for a move. McCartney also off the road then for OPR Gamma Flare. There's side by side. Through goes Kerr to 9th. Through goes Brown to 9th. Kerr is 10th. He could be 11th here. As Lockie Capel gets it down the inside of the Porsche curves. Lovely stuff on the move as he gets himself the time and the placement. But we got to go up to your race leader, who's about to head himself now towards the final 2 chicanes of the Ford chicane and the Rea Cordermont, because we're about to start that last lap of the race. Barney is getting himself then set and ready to go and wave. And critically here, they are lining up for those last lap moves.
About 4 minutes to rock and roll. Damon Woods, Dean Mackay and Reese Wakefield. Here's the OG Gear replay going into Indianapolis. 3 wide, if you don't mind, ladies and gentlemen. 3 different cars, 3 different teams. Whoa, that's explaining what happened to Stephen McCartan and co.
Well, 3 into 2 doesn't go, and the little one said roll over, and they all fell over, and out fell Stefan McCartney. It's as simple as that in an incident that you see there, but there are drivers everywhere looking for what they want, and for Jack Widders, for Tom Bewley, they're doing well to catch back Zach Ray White, damage and all.
And actually, let's highlight Zach Ray White. Dropped to 5th after the incident, has remained 5th so far. So whatever the damage is, hasn't been enough to completely derail his night, which is important because, yes, it's going to be a little bit of an invoice to Damon Woods, but not as monumental as it might have been had it been a black flag or more terminal damage that required him to transit the lane to get some repairs. He's been able to get out of jail, not relatively free, but somewhat somewhat a lot better off than he otherwise might have been through the course of that incident. A nice scare from him, or for him rather, and one that he may well try and redeem in race 2 a little bit later on. 2 live battles here for you, ladies and gentlemen, including, importantly, Tom Bewley, who's got an earful of Dylan Shepard and Seth Brown, and Lockie Capel, who's got Zach Kerr and Rick Kuznetsov nipping at the heels there. So the 3-way fights on this final lap to determine those final critical positions in the top 10 invert, particularly in the case of Capel, Kerr and Brown.
If something happens in that group here with Brown, Capel and Kerr, it's Kuznetsov and Ellis who will be the profiteers of their fate as they work themselves through in towards then the Michelin chicane and over towards then the next right that comes along of Mulsanne corner itself. So there is still so much to figure out, which includes the likes of the podium. Now into the guttering goes Zach Kerr, trying to get the clearance here on Capel. They're going to merge over on Seth Brown as they hit the brakes at Mulsanne. The outside could be a place. There's Biffo as they work on through. Now there's side-by-side as Zach's got no power compared to Jack Widders now. He's aerodynamically compromised. Dylan Shepard then, who is in 8th, wants to get himself up into the order as well. 2 lots of big battles that go on. Capel now on the wrong side of the top 10. Comes back and almost hooks the quarter then of Zach Kerr. It's going to be big here as Jack Widders tries to work the outside to get the inside here. And for 3rd, Marina Morella gets Reese Wakefield going a bit too deep. And the cost then is going to be a podium for Reese. What a real shame that is as they work suddenly Bewley and Shepard together with Rattray White and Jack Widders, and Capel has got himself back on Kerr, who's got himself a big slide and has dropped him a little bit of time. You're going to need to be picture in picture in picture in picture to see all of what's going on around here, because it's busy on this lap. ZR Dub coming back at Jack Widders. Jack's not going to sit by, mechanic by trade, as he looks at this around the outside of the Porsche curves. Gets it set down on a dime and says, you ain't getting that one like that, sunshine. I am better than what you think I am. Some great stuff between them as they work on through the final corners, but into the final chicane goes Damon Woods, who says in sprint form, he is 4 from 4. Sprint Meister over the line and wins Heat 1 at Le Mans.
Brilliant yet again from Damon Woods. Clinical in the opening heats of all 4 rounds so far. Look at the minor placing sort themselves out. Mackay, Morella, Wakefield, Rattray White got 5th in the end over Widders. Bewley, Shepard, Brown. Capel gets the invert pole. That's important to note. It was either going to be him or Zach Kerr. Rick Kuznetsov misses out. That's a slowdown earlier, deadly costly to his aspirations of being in position number 1 off the invert for race 2. Stuart Ellis, Miles Burgess, Hugo Allen take us back to 15th. They all file through. Oh boy, that was feisty. And here's Zach Hanlon in an incident on the final lap on the OG Gear replay, all on his own. All on his own.
Tip it in, no grip. It's as simple as that, Zach. You don't want to see that at all in trouble. We will have to wait for the likes of Jackson Raihana to come across the line and to make the field official. A good chance, though, to talk penalties here because Raihana picked up 10, Sabo 5, Hodge 5, Ewan Baker 15-second penalty for the contact with McCartin on lap 5, which puts him to 25 seconds overall there, Zach.
Yep. And I guess he's lucky that Raihana's that far back that it may not necessarily see him drop below Jackson there in 34th, but still 25 seconds. That's a fair, that's almost a pit lane transit around here at the Circuit de la Sarthe that he's going to be hit with at the end of proceedings. I guess the one thing that does work in his favour, though, mate, is that we haven't yet perfected the software required to apply those penalties internally within the server so that he would be starting exactly where he's going to appear on the finish sheet once the results have been amended. So it's a quid pro quo sort of thing. He'll take the invoice, but it won't be until after the round is properly complete. That was fun. Real feisty, aggressive, attacking stuff. And for the most part, take out the lap 2 incident, it was clean as well. I was a bit worried that the final lap was going to see all hell break loose and see a couple of people's nights end before they could get back to the finish line. But no, credit to all and sundry on how clean they kept that final lap. But no one stopping Damon Woods at the front, mate. 4 from 4, as you say, in sprint mode. Now we get a chance to see whether we can go out. He did the double on track last time. He didn't get to keep the double. Let's see if he can rectify that this time round.
Well, 5 seconds to the good, says Damon Woods, wins again, but it could have been a double podium for OPRX Gamma player Marino Morella. Pretty much now starting to find some great form with 3rd place. Reese Wakefield 4th and Zach Rattray White. That hit into the wall. A bit of brain fade there in 5th position. Jack Widders will take 6th ahead of Tom Bewley and Dylan Shepherd, with Seth Brown making his way up to 9th and Lachlan Capel on the pole then for the next race coming up. Critical for his result. Zach Kerr will end up bubbling, having started the race in 11th and finishing it in 11th, with Rick Kuznetsov 12th and Stuart Ellis in 13th place. It's then Miles Burgess and Hugo Allen making the top 15. What a climb from Hugo, though, to get himself up the positions required, as he would leapfrog up through and say, I'm from it, from 33rd on the grid. It's then going to be Ryan Jones and Hayden Veld, with Tice Hodge 18th, Angus Lawford 19th, and Lockhart Brownlee then rounding out the top 20 overall. Simon Mazzomo and Ewan Baker, 21st and 22nd. Busy nights for the pair, with Brock Gilchrist and Harry Lawrence in 24th position. Sam Chapman entered tonight 20th in the championship. He will now lose that position, as he is currently down in 25th, with Zachary Hanlon, Spin, and Jared McLeod there in 27th. Jordan Malcolm, Pat Klein, and Stefan McCartain then make up the top 30. Stefan beaten from pillar to post over the course of that first race. You then got Sam Muir, Jet Saragi, and Jet Van Hemert, the last cars on the lead lap. Jackson Raihana 1 down, and then you got the rest of the drivers who are ordering zinger boxes down at the Mulsanne KFC. You've got the likes there of Antal Sabo, Scott Rankin, Jacob O'Reilly, and Byron Pierce not getting days that they would say makes it worthwhile for them. Zach, we had 2 extra laps. We say, right, we've got to go out and be extra aggressive, and what I think is going to be critical is how the packs break up in the opening couple of laps, because one chain reaction of I missed my braking point by 5 meters is 5/10 by the time you get to the end of the Mulsanne.
Exactly, and we haven't yet quite worked out exactly what the time parameter is, at which point the tow is not a benefit to the car behind you, whether it's a second, whether it's a second and a half, but 3 times that 0.5 you talk about is that second and a half, and that could be the threshold. That could be the difference between able to reach out and latch on to the next competitor or being a sitting duck. My other interest, or point of interest out of this next race, Jake, is going to be whether or not race control show a little bit more scrutiny with regards to incidents, and whether or not they were very willing to clear incidents and give permission to tow back to pit lane, particularly with that lap 2 incident on the run up over the crest out of the Dunlop chicane. Whether or not we see the safety car this time around, because we've got that extra 2 laps to play with, remains to be seen. Let's hope we don't have to have that discussion, though. Let's hope we can avoid another monster shunt like that. This second race will be a smidgen under 109 kilometres. Have we got the invert right, though, boys? Because it's been the same all throughout the season. Top 10 invert. It seems to be a nice, comfortable number for everybody. Would you like to see it be a little bit more at a circuit as big as this?
I think if you made it bigger, you would be turning around and saying, right, there is a lot more lottery on how you go and get about it. If you made it any smaller, then there's not really much point in inverting at all. I think when you sit it at 10 here, Zach, I don't know how you feel about it. It's enough pace on the invert that drivers who get into that top 10 are still rewarded in the sense of where they go. And consider the difference between a top 10 invert here and a top 10 invert on July 15th at Zandvoort. That's chalk and cheese.
Yes, absolutely it is. Zandvoort, very difficult, very tight, very narrow circuit, difficult for overtaking. So the aggression level will lift there, because everybody's going to have to be ultra committed when they're executing overtaking manoeuvres. Red Bull Ring, very friendly with regards to overtaking, but particularly crisscross overtaking. making the move at one corner, consolidating it at the next. Mount Panorama, we know, is also not the world's friendliest overtaking circuit. Phillip Island, however, yeah, plenty of great racing around there. It's one of the great circuits in Australian motorsport, least of all world motorsports. So we never get a dull Porsche outing at Mount Panorama. Shell v Power Motorsport Park at the Bend. Depends which configuration, I've always said that. Miami, bit of an unknown entity again. And then, of course, off to Imola and the Adelaide Street Circuit, where the gloves will well and truly be off, because that will be the last chance to settle the scores of the season that is 2026. We're lining up and getting ready now for the feature, boys. This is going to be an absolute beauty. Can Damon Woods go from 10th to 1st? How will he go about it? Will we see the safety car? So many variables, so many unanswered questions, and they will be in about half an hour's time. But Lockie Capel with the invert, and he left it late to secure it, and what a way to do it. Let's see what he can do from pole.
Yeah, he'll have Seth Brown, who he knew intimately in race 1, for company with Dylan Shepherd and Tom Bewley here at race 8 of the season. Jack Widder starts 5th with Zach Rattray-White there in 6th position. He's got pace to burn today with Reese Wakefield and Marino Morella on row 4. Dean Mackay and Damon Woods, they make your top 10 as Zach Kerr lines up 11th and Rick Kuznetsov makes it an all-familiar 6th row of the grid. Stuart Ellis for OPR Gamma Flare is 13th, and it's an all OPR Gamma Flare 7th row with Miles Burgess there in 8th. Hugo Allen and Ryan Jones make up your top 16 with Hayden Veld and Tice Hodge 17th and 18th. Your top 20 rounds with Angus Lawford and Lockhart Brownlee as Simon Mazzomo and Ewan Baker will be on row 11. Brock Gilchrist and Harry Lawrence in the Impact Sims by Racers number 93 Porsche. You've then got Sam Chapman 25th, Zach Hanlin in 26th as Jared McLeod and Jordan Malcolm are on row 14. And if you want to predict a riot, you're not going to see it from Pat Klein in 19th. He's going to have, or 29th, sorry. He's going to hope to try and jump himself up through the order by pirating on everyone else's malaise as Stefan McCartain hopes for an easier time of things from 30th. Sam Muir and Jet Saragi, row 16 with Jed Van Hemert and Jackson Raihana. It's then Antal Sabo and Scott Rankin, who said he's a little bit flat today, and so he really didn't want to be caught up wrong place, wrong time. Jacob O'Reilly and Byron Pierce make up the rest of the field, and it's worth noting Mike Korolev is better than both Simon Black and the second safety car. He's faster than race control Greg and John Van Ree, who is out there as well helping in the race control as they all sit down on the back of the field. But with 45 seconds left before we get going, Zach, what is your big takeaway here for the start of this second race?
My big takeaway will be for the guys towards the back of the field who were unlucky in race 1 to try and avoid incident through the first sequence of corners. Their chance at securing a decent haul of round points dashed, but they can still salvage something throughout the course of the next 32 minutes or so, Jake. So keep an eye on them to keep a clean set of heels, and let's keep an eye on how much ground they can reel in throughout the course of the next 8 laps. Start vitally important. Keep an eye on Dylan Shepherd to try and get the whole shot and the toe from Lockie Cable to clear Seth Brown early.
So, toe is going to be everything. That first chicane is going to be a who's who of who wants to ego max out there over the course of this one. Engine notes right, 8 laps on the docket. Let's get ourselves underway then here in the Moza Racing Moza Racing Pro Invitational here. Your Porsche Pro Invitational gets stuff going now. Lovely starts then off of the front of the field. What a launch there from around the row. It's going to be Zach Kerr who's got a lovely get-go as we work in towards the opening chicane for the first time. How are they going to hit on the brakes? Wide goes Lockie Capel, and sweeping around the outside of him here, it's Dylan Shepherd to the race lead from 3rd on the grid.
Nailed it. We called it, didn't we? I thought he'd clear Seth Brown, but he's got 2 for the price of 1, Dylan Shepherd. OPR leading at the Circuit de la Salle. Have a look at that. Lockie Cable, Seth Brown, Jack Vittis, and Tom Bewley and Reese Wakefield, the top 6 on the opening lap as they sort themselves out for the first time. Still too wide in many parts further back in the pack, but we've had a cleaner getaway second time round.
Zach Rattray White gets the move done. Then on Reese Wakefield, it opens up. Damon Woods, Marino Morella's going to push him through and say, look, I want one place. I know I'm going to give him one championship leader, but no more than that. This Daytona chicane, of course, the building partnership between Daytona and Le Mans circuits is going to be big. This is going to be huge. 3 wide threaded through the middle there from Jack Widders here as it's going to be Capel on the outside. Surely they don't all make it through here. And it's going to have to be a slowdown now for Lachlan Capel. Plants it on the apex. Widders now your new leader. Shepherd in second. Capel back to third. Here comes Tom Bewley now to try and take it here with Seth Brown in the
Big
mix
one at the
as
back.
well. No slowdown. Look at this.
One of the Vermilion cars, I reckon it was. Into the wall further back, if not one of the Ratway White stable. We'll have a look in a moment. Out of the first chicane. Still 3 wide down the Mulsanne to the second of the chicanes. This one, of course, to the left-hand side. Capel's been gobbled up. Back to 4th spot in all of that. Bewley went around the outside. Vitus to second. Shepherd the leader at the Circuit de la Sarthe and a parked Antel Sabo. Oh, what a wretched run of luck for him tonight. If he didn't have bad luck, he'd have no luck at all, Jake.
He definitely would. Jared McLeod as well is around and he's requesting toe 2. So as 2 cars in trouble, slowdowns are plenty out there, but this is such a busy lead to this race. Capel on the wrong side of Zach Rattray White, and so that's going to have to stay as it is. Look at how much gravel's getting kicked up on the outside. Train, I argue, goes all the way back to Stefan McCartane at the moment, and they're all going to be pushing to say, look, I want it. And when you've got a teammate around helping you, how critical is this? Bewley and Widders work the dream. There's Capel slowdown starting to kick itself into place. Sorry, no, I'll correct myself. That's another one of the Logitech ODPM cars then that's going backwards. And so McCartane is going to easily find a way to jump through. Look at this, though, into Indianapolis. It's an absolute malaise of cars.
Damon Woods up 5 spots on the opening lap. The latest victim, Lockie Capel, again serving that slowdown. Has got 5 spots trouble. The 144 goes around that race. Wakefield, thankfully, he's on the grass. Let's hope no one else spears off in there. They miss him. And we are still sorting ourselves out 3 wide as they head down towards the Porsche curves, towards the back end of this lap at the Circuit de la Sarthe. I'm not sure they'll get through here 3 wide, Jake. Hold your breath.
Oh, just got walled there, did Antal Sharbo. Nowhere to go. And still 2 wide they hold. Then through the mid-pack at the moment with Mackay and Allen and Veld and Burgess. Look at it here through the Porsche curves. Now
Fantastic.
They figure out what single file means. They finally get an understanding on the dictionary. Pit lane penalty for Jordan Malcolm. Then he's going to have to go through for an unsafe rejoin. That was for the penalty. And Hugo Allen slow off of the exit then. He's going to look around and say, well, there goes one place and there goes a second as Hayden Veld picks his pocket going into the Ford chicanes, and now the Rhea Cordemont back onto circuit. This is you miss, I hit sort of stuff. This is the sort of racing that you see here in this pack, Zach, where you're going to have to be aggressive. You must attack, otherwise you are going to be losing a spot.
And if you fail to take any advantage whatsoever of the misfortune for those around you, or the little slip-ups or little mistakes that they make along the way, it's to your own detriment. You have to have all eyes on and all eyes forward in this instant, and you have to be operating 110%. Thankfully, majority of them are, so far, just the one crippled car on the opening lap as we make our way out through the first part of the second lap. Off to the Mulsanne we go. Lap 2 of 8, and if it's as frantic and as relentless as the first lap was, you're in for a good ride, ladies and gentlemen. Off we go. Angus Lawford there in 19th at the moment, under pressure from Harry Lawrence, trying to catch Simon Mesimo. And watch Zach Hanlon, who's also had a night to forget to this point, down the Mulsanne.
506, he's very much hooked by Byron Pierce the wrong way, and so could have very easily have found himself in the wall and in trouble. Angus Lawford then to the Daytona chicane, side by side, looking at Simon Mazzomo down his inside, who's got it in, but he's slightly deep, so again, he's going to have to cover through the middle of the corner, attack with better drive off of the exit, get back up and under, and right now, he's saying, look, I want the toe of Ryan Jones. They fight for that crown of the road because of all the tractors that come along this section of the road.
Have a look at this. Incredible shots, incredible images, ladies and gentlemen. Tight racing. Cutthroat stuff.
Nice gearbox.
Yes, Angus Lawford getting a real good look at this. We're getting a good look at it from his perspective as well, looking back out towards Simon Mezzomo and Harry Lawrence and Stephen McCartan. It was, I think it was Mezzomo that was just making himself at home inside the back of the entry of Angus Lawford. Now we pick up Simon Mezzomo in 19th place. To the inside, just ahead of him, there's a fair bit of squabbling going on. Tice Hodge, Miles Burgess swapping positions on the racetrack there, and Mezzomo trying to fend off the car of Harry Lawrence as he retains 19th to the end of the Mulsanne Straight once more. Lap 2 of 8, and you mentioned that conga line, Jake. It's still 20 deep.
Yeah, it very much is, but they are starting to break at the front here. 5 clear. Zach Rattray-White through at Mulsanne corner on Jack Widders. So now be eyeing up Dylan Shepherd for the race lead. And here comes the attempt then, looking around and takes it away and says, I want to be here and I want nothing more of it. Lights flashing there to acknowledge there from Dylan Shepherd. Nothing untoward there. Might fight back over to Arnage. And now the two of Bewley and Widders together. And there's no room then for Damon Woods to go sneaking up the inside. He got balked as he tried to get a run, and that might just bring Seth Brown, Zach Kerr and Lachlan Capel somewhat closer back to this group.
Hanlon gets a 5-second penalty for the contact earlier on in the piece as well, so another invoice being handed out by Race Control. Shepherd having a good look at the rear of the Zach Rattray-White entry at the moment. Vidas and Bewley in their 3rd and 4th. Damon Woods looking for a way through. He knows the importance of getting out after Zach Rattray-White. He's still got 6 laps to find his way back to the front to try and do the double, but it's important for Widders to stay on the train, stay in contact with Shepherd. With a view to the Mulsanne next time through. Will Woods make a move on Bewley this time round? He's certainly looking at it, but Bewley's open to it and looks to close the door. Woods has his nose up on the inside and then backs out of it.
No, never close enough to make that pass. You've got to be completely alongside, working through the Ford chicanes and the rear Cordemont, and this is costing time. And if that gap extends out to Shepherd and to Rattray-White, then best that Damon Woods can hope for is 3rd. Zach Kerr with the fastest lap. Now Hugo Allen picking up that mark in 12th position. Hasn't he driven amazingly out there at the moment? There's 59 and Scott, and looking a little bit further down, sorry, that's Jacob O'Reilly in the 222, who our focus is with at the moment here, trying to work on through. Nice office setup.
Very nice office setup. It's always nice when you can combine work and leisure, isn't it? Have a look at that. Up around on the outside. So he's got his hands full at the moment. Making our way down through the opening part of this 3rd lap. We've got through the chicane at the Michelin corner, and now we're on our way to Mulsanne corner, and now on our way to that famed Mulsanne Straight. Not everyone got through 3rd time through. Scotty Rankin in trouble, but he got some help. He got some real help there, unfortunately. Just got escorted off the road, Jake.
Looking very much like Alex Rins once upon a time down there. And very, very tough day for Scott Rankin as well. Just getting caught. Wrong place, wrong time. Woods for third. Oh, contact! Bang! Into the wall there. Goes one of the 9.5 cars. And that's along with, I believe, Jackson Raihana in the mix there. So a big old moment then as they go on by Pat Klein with no troubles, and troubles for 777 out there dropping down. That's Hugo Allen.
We were just singing his praises. The commentator's curse is real, ladies and gentlemen. And he drops down to 27th position now, limping it back to pit lane, it would seem. Oh, boy. Rattray-White, clear as Shepherd, and Vidas there in 5th spot, Jake.
And as all that's happening, Marino Morella has picked up 10 for contact with Reese Wakefield on lap 1. So he's going to be hurting right now in 9th. We'll take a look at Hugo Allen just overcooking it here into the chicane. Look, he had to completely abandon the apex there and go through, then got turned around trying to avoid it. Nowhere that the 413 of Dean Mackay could go in that, because he was painted into a very tough corner. Widders then scrapping hard now with Seth Brown as this group suddenly turns into 2 and everyone chasing.
And look who's 3rd. Woods has got clear of Bewley and Vidas. Brown in there behind. And now Damon Woods can go out after Dylan Shepherd. It's 1.7 first to 3rd, 1.4 second to 3rd. Keep an eye on Damon Woods. What can he do here? They cannot afford to continue squabbling here now.
think you're going to have to cut your losses, and so you're going to work. There's damage to the front left corner here for Tom Bewley from just how hard he's been drafting out there on this track. And so I think you're really getting the sense of who's willing to work hard and who maybe isn't getting as much love of it at the moment. And so you're looking around. This is a place where top speed is king. And in cars like these cup cars, it's not just how much grunt you've got in the engine, because they're all the same. Aerodynamic profile makes such a difference out there. If you've got a front left wheel that is currently exposed, you're going to be doing a lot of damage in your straight line.
Especially on a circuit where we've been talking about the importance of benefiting from the slipstream, from the toe, from the draft. And Hugo Allen's lap has gone from bad to worse down at the end of the Mulsanne. And, the rejoin. Watch the rejoin.
Oh.
Bang. Goodbye. Byron Pearce will be, he'll have a case to answer, I think, Jake.
He will. He'll argue that, okay, I'm in the gravel and that's just taken my time to hook up like that. Hugo will say, look, I've given you half the circuit to go and gather it back and you still didn't. And I think the stewards will take that view out there, that half a circuit will make all the difference out there in terms of where it goes. There's a little defensive pivot from Angus Lawford here. Ryan Jones wanting to get himself to a sweet 16th place. Stefan McCartney then is down on the inside, turn to outside now as Ryan loses that spot to 18th into what will be now the Boogie chicane out there, has done what will retire their brand from racing out there. And that Dunlop Bridge, not there anymore in the real world. So in memoriam for the moment, it is in iRacing, and something you love to see.
And well, we have a circuit here in Australia that's no longer available to us in the real world, that lives on in the iRacing universe, Oran Park in southwest Sydney, so we can relate to that. Hugo Allen, a 5-second penalty for contact with 413. That was inevitable. I'm sorry. Ryan Jones hoping to have a clean run here and an event-free run. Currently sitting 18th at the moment, eyeing off Stephen McCartan. Angus Lawford just ahead of him. You've got Ratway White leading Shepherd. Damon Woods just set the fastest lap of the race. Here comes Jonesy with a move down on the inside of Stephen McCartan, down to the right-hander, halfway along the Mulsanne. Job done. Next target will be Angus Lawford, and that will be for position number 16. The problem they've got then is that the car of Tice Hodge and Miles Burgess there, another second and a bit up the road. So once Jonesy clears the car of Lawford here, which he's looking to do, back-to-back chicane moves potentially. Will he go off and move to the inside? No, and now he's got to get on the defensive because Stephen McCartan's down on his inside. Here we go. To the left-hander.
All of this changing up once more, and can't really see it, but now you do. Lawford covers off Stefan McCartney as Damon Woods got a freebie off of Dylan Shepherd, who lifted and let him have the place, goes up to second. Here's the look. Knows I don't want to fight this one going into the Michelin chicane because I still have eyes on trying to win this race. Let him go.
Let him go indeed. Let's have a look at this. This battle pack. Jonesy gained one, lost one, ended up neutral, back in 18th position. Now has to defend Simon Mesimo. 4 different teams squabbling over the same piece of real estate here at the moment, folks. Really good scrap, lower half of that 11 to 20 bracket. Mesimo, slow down.
Zach, sounds like trying to buy a house in Melbourne at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. Not easy. The rental market and the housing market in this country is off the Richter at the moment, Jake. And there's some argy-bargy, some friendly fire. That was Jackson Rayhana on the inside there. And Brock Gilchrist was the one that he escorted into the wall there gradually, ever so slightly.
Oh, trouble, Zach Kerr. Off then, and that's going to be very, very tough to go through. Was stuck on the outside of Lachlan Capel at Arnage. There was contact between them, and that wall comes up upon you quickly. Zach Kerr into a hefty shunt.
Let's have a look at this on the OG Gear replay. Capel on the inside. It all happens on the exit, yep. Little bit of a hip and shoulder. And Capel, I'm not sure. He had the line, he had the inside running, but race control may look at the exit and the lines taken and whether there was something that Capel could have done to prevent having a car on his outside end up in the tyres. we'll wait and see. In the meantime, Rick Kuznetsov here, 10th place, as we take another look on the OG Gear replay just to get a better look at it. Oh, okay, so the contact started well before they got through the corner. And that actually, on a second look, Jake, that might be a 50-50 scenario, that one.
Yeah, it definitely looks that way, and very tough to deal with. Not good there for Rick Kuznetsov as Lockhart Brownlee there in 22nd position. Looks to try and find his way up the order. Started the night in 15th, dropped to 20th, started 20th in this race, dropped to 22nd. So I'd be taking a look at the form sheet here if you're Lockhart Brownlee. Wrong way, you need to go the other way, mate. Oh, cast low as well on the exit of the pits, I think, is Jacob O'Reilly, who's pulled over to one side.
When it rains, it pours. Character building night for Lockhart Brownlee, and he's not the only one. As O'Reilly comes back onto the racetrack, having been on pit road. Harry Lawrence there, 22nd at the moment, gets through on the inside of Lockhart Brownlee. Adds further insult into injury and the wound of Lockhart Brownlee tonight, down to 23rd, could soon be 24th. As they head down the Mulsanne, Ryan Jones with the slowdown drops now down to 20th position. And all this is happening, boys, and we're only going to have 3 laps to go next time by the line. It's extraordinary. No safety cars called so far. I think we're all breathing a sigh of relief at that. Zach Ratway-White's margin over Damon Woods holding steady at 1.4 seconds. And Brock Gilchrist gets a 15-second invoice for contact with the 59 earlier in the piece as well. That was, of course, Scott Rankin. That was just escorting Mr. Rankin off the road there in an unpleasant and impolite sort of way.
Hayden Feld absolutely moving as Marino Morella gets one then on Lachlan Capel. This a pass for 7th place and done and dusted. Then with that attempt through. Now, you're seeing biggest movers, McCartane, Saragi, Byron Pierce. I look to put who's made the best progress through the night. Hayden Veld started this night in 30th place with a penalty that he couldn't qualify, and he has moved himself all the way up through 2 races, Zach, or 1.5, into your top 10.
Been a very nice drive, hasn't it? So Hayden Veld 10th, Dean Mackay, Lachlan Capel, Marino Morella. They're the drivers that we're following at the moment. Morella, a magnificent performance to back up what we saw at the Nürburgring in the last round of the championship. He gets himself another pair of top 10 finishes if things stay as they are. What about Seth Brown, though? Can they latch on and reel him in? It's only half a second at the moment. Or, sorry, it is a second and a half, I should say. So I was reading the wrong timing margins. Look at Damon Woods under pressure here from Dylan Shepherd, and they've lost contact with Zach Ratway-White, who's a second and a half up the road. So I think gone are the chances of reeling in Zach Ratway-White off in pursuit of his 2nd win of the season. So he'll be the first multiple feature race winner of the season if he can continue to convert this opportunity here, Jake. And that would mean that our winners count for this season would remain at, where are we at now? Round 4, it would remain at 5. So, yeah, it's an interesting one because obviously Damon Woods is 4 from 4 in the sprint races, but we've had 3 different winners throughout, so it would actually remain at 4. So, obviously, Dylan Shepherd, Jack Vittis, Tom Bewley, Seth Brown, they all had an opportunity to get their name on the winners list. That's fallen by the wayside, and Ratway-White and Damon Woods continue to show everybody why they are clearly 1st and 2nd in the points race. And obviously, Ratway-White, this minimises the damage done earlier when he was squabbling for 5th and 6th position late in race 1, while Damon Woods was clear and comfortable 5 seconds up the road. Tom Bewley, under pressure here from Seth Brown and Marino Morella to the end of another lap. Or Jack Vittis, rather.
So with that group then fighting it out for the final places inside the top 5, that's going to be Seth Brown pulling over to the right-hand side of the slowdown penalty. And so thank you very much. Surely we'll go Marino Morella up into 6th spot. So that's a nice, comfortable, easy one to go and get the move sorted. But I'm going to say knock on wood on Zach Ratway-White because it depends on 2 factors. One, if David Woods could hook up the toe, that's a lot of kicker tail coming up over the top as they now head to Descent de la Chapelle here with the likes of Dean Mackay. It depends on if Damon Woods can catch the toe, and secondly, how much Dylan Shepherd's willing to help.
Yeah, and that's a good point because you spoke earlier, didn't you, about dancing with partners you wouldn't necessarily be acquainted with. And that's very much the case here for Damon Woods and Dylan Shepherd. Will Dylan assist Damon and then try and make it a 3-horse fight and take the crown and glory away from the pair of them? Trouble, Harry Lawrence.
Right on the entrance to Tetra Rouge, a very flat-out, loaded, committed corner. Gets himself out of the way, no troubles. Bewley then holding his 5th place, but they are starting to squabble here. Mackay through on Lachlan Capel, but Capel gets a better run off the exit. You're going to see it come onto screen just now there in the background. Look at this. Back here, no run for Mackay. Hayden takes one look at it and says, well, I'm just going to push Lockie and do what I've done all day. Every lap, I get at least one pass done. And look at him boxed in. Side draft coming back, though, for Dean Mackay on the crown of the road. This is some elite level stuff for Dean to come back in a straight line. Look how slippery he's got his Porsche Cup right now. Working through into the Michelin chicane. Fights on the inside with Lachlan Capel. Lockie doesn't give up, though. He won a wonderful wet race to qualify himself through into the V8 Pro Invitational earlier on this year. And now he looks around and Hayden might decide, well, which horse do I want to back? Is it Quadranort or is it someone else?
Byron Pearson, the meanwhile, cops a 15-second penalty for contact with the 777. You go, oh, whoa, speaking of contact, there's the hip and shoulder. Down on the inside, Dean Mackay gets by. Vel gets by. Capel shuffled out of it back to 10th. And unfortunately, now the invert completely and utterly undone in his instance. As we have a look at the 93 here on the OG Gear replay. That was Harry Lawrence. Just a little bit too greedy with the grass, and the grass stings quite substantially around the Circuit de la Sarthe. We've seen that already tonight. These three are still going at it. Capel, how much will he live to rue that slowdown on the opening lap where he dropped out of the top 3 down into 6th? He's continued to slip down the order. He's 10th at the moment. Still a chance of getting back to 8th, but he'll rue what might have been had it not been for that slowdown early on. And now he's got to fight for dear life to retain his spot in the top 10 because Rick Kuznetsov's joined the party.
And Rick, by his standards of how high up he sits in the championship, being 3rd, has had a very quiet evening by comparison. He's been around Zach Kerr, who's his nearest challenger. Not a great day for Antal Sabo, but a great day for Marino Morella. I'd be looking at this from Rick Kuznetsov and going, yeah, this might still give me 3rd, but the gap to the top 2 is going to extend a mile. And so I'd be worried here with a day like this that Rick's not getting what he needs. I would argue if he wants anything out of this one, Zach, he's got to leapfrog the lot. Capel very wide there, heading through then what is known as the Corvette curve there, that right-hander leading on past the Alain Prost karting circuit on the right-hand side, through Maison Blanche and over now towards the Ford chicanes here. This is where I think Kuznetsov realises I must start making moves.
Absolutely, now or never, especially with it being 2 to go. We've just completed lap 6. Damon Woods, fastest lap of the race, and Lockie Capel gives way. Rick Kuznetsov through. Capel, potentially another slowdown. Kuznetsov through into 10th spot. Now next target, Dean Mackay. Look at these guys squabbling. Zach Kerr, Miles Burgess is there. Stuart Ellis at the head of the train, 13th at the moment. In behind, Seven McCartan, Angus Lawford. It's the OPR trio with a couple of gate crashes. Zach Kerr being one of them, Angus Lawford the other. They're arguing over 13th. It'll be lucky for somebody. I said that earlier in the night. 1 second now. Have a look at that. 1 second now. The margin first to second. Woods on the trail to try and do the double. He's got to within slipstream benefit proximity of Zach Ratway White down the Mulsanne we go, penultimate time.
So is this just a case of catching right place, right time, shake off then on the straight then, as it's going to be a case of Stuart Ellis trying to get rid of Zach Kerr, get Miles Burgess close, get Stefan McCarthy, maybe hope that Angus Lawford can't keep up the pace. Look at the way this closes down, on that lead gap down to 0.8 of a second here, but they're going to fan out and Kerr under pressure from Miles Burgess. Throwing his weight around on the inside, turned outside. Can't get the line off the exit. Gives Stuart Ellis now the reprieve to the second part. And now McCartane, stick or twist. Go for it or stay back.
Well, if you stay back this lap, you've got to change your mindset next lap, because that'll be the final opportunity. That was nice from Burgess. Wasn't able to complete the job. A little bit of door-to-door work with Kerr there partway through the chicane. But reset, regroup, go again. Now they're trying to go tandem 2 for the price of 1. 1 out of 2 ain't bad. Through on the inside. Burgess gets by. Kerr back in behind. McCartan now looking for a way through. Lawford also trying to unsettle McCartan. Bewley still fending off Marino Morella whilst trying to get by Jack Vittis. Battles everywhere, Jake. It's fantastic.
Yeah, keep your eyes on it because there'll be a 2-car pack everywhere. Kerr, inside line now, gets back at Miles Burgess. Can I have that back, please? Miles keeps his foot in, and there was overlap. Zach Kerr tried to push him out. There was still overlap there, and ultimately the contact front tyre to rear tyre, enough to unsettle, and suddenly the group is going to jump, and they're going to eat up alive like vultures. Here, these two as they work. Now it's 3 and 1. Look at the way this freight train will work. Zach Kerr on the outside. He's got nothing for it. They all go by. 1, 2, 3. Lawford's though is going to have a little bit more trouble here fighting with Kerr. He's got the inside though. Here into Indianapolis corner. He can't get it confirmed on the banking, but in the gravel, he will now manage.
Indeed, he will. Lawford still looking for a way into the fight. He's on the outer at the moment. He just can't find a way into that battle pack. Nipping at the heels of it, however, and has to fight for dear life to fend off Zach Kerr there at the moment. Look at this. Zach Ratway White has now officially been caught by Damon Woods. He's taken half a second out of him on this penultimate lap. He set the fastest lap of the race at 3:56.627 last time by on the 6th lap. I reckon he's going to go purple box again this time by as Barney prepares to unfurl that white flag, and we go for another 13.5 kilometres around the circuit to the south. White flag in the air, 1 to go.
I ask you this question, Zach, and I ask it with importance. Earlier on in the season, Damon didn't elect to pass Zach Rattray White because of the technical partnership between the two and said, I'll pick my points at the end of the season. Is this the same scenario now?
I don't think so. 6 of one, half dozen of the other. He's already got the advantage in the championship by virtue of the fact that Ratway White finished down, 5th position in race 1. So there's that mindset to it that he can look at the glass half full picture and say, I've already won the round on points. I can sit back. But there's the other part of him as well that I reckon he'll be a bit aggrieved by the fact that he lost the win last time round in the feature. He'll want to do the double here as redemption.
He'll want it. But now it's going to be about this main straight and how critical of a run it's going to be. We'll take a little look here on replay here on the final lap here at Le Mans. This has been a horrid day at the office for Byron Pierce. Turning it. Oh, he gets turned for his troubles and flipped as well. Second time tonight that he's been put upside down as Byron Pierce right now. And he's basically got rally driver syndrome out there. It's sky floor, sky floor, sky floor. No other way of looking at it. There is Jack Widders and Tom Bewley fighting out hard for their positions, but Marino Morella is the key to this group right now in how this is going to stack up, and the move may need to be made.
Time running out. Now or never for Damon Woods. Continues to follow Zach Ratway White. Shepherd is contained in 3rd. He's not moving. He's not going anywhere. Vittis and Bewley still arguing over 4th. Marino Morella wanting a piece of that. But our eyes firmly focused on the battle for the win. Does Ratway White defend down here at Indianapolis, or does Damon Woods go for the double? To the outside, Jake. Whoa!
Oh, he leans on him. Look at the run. Look at the run that Damon Woods picks up. There's now one chance to have the attack back here. If you're Zach Rattray White, and it is going to have to be over at Indianapolis. Mulsanne corner is Damon's. How good is the run off the exit? It's good from Zach Rattray White. Damon Woods now is going to have to defend. Look at the face of determination there for ZR Dub. For Damon Woods, he's not bothered at the moment. Back to the outside, turned inside. It's going to have to be. Gets him back and says, I know that there's more straight out there. Look at the lead, though, in terms of where that slipstream comes into play off the side drop. They are tandeming. bouncing off of each other. And now it's about who's bravest. Zach Rattray White gets covered. Then in towards Indianapolis by Damon Woods and says, I am not letting this one go. Massive defense to the right-hand side. Then for Arnage, he's middle of the road. Oh, and his contact front to rear almost pushes him through. Now the Porsche curves doesn't look like an opportunity where a move can be made. He's all over the road trying to cover off and defend, trying to shake Zach Rattray White off, but he's like a 2-year-old kid holding a lollipop. You're not going to get that off of him out there as he works to the outside. Excellent stuff. Zach Rattray White round the outside of the Porsche curves. It's going to have to be. Damon Woods doesn't have it. Big smiles between the pair of them. They know how great of a battle this one is, but surely now Zach Rattray White just has to hold his ground for the final few corners and say, look, I am holding on with everything I've got. And while we would say that in the round he is down on points here over Damon Woods, this will be a message sent that the victory will not be just moral. It will be one where he says, I am very much up for the fight in every single race. Zach Rattray White to the final corner wins an epic duel against Damon Woods.
And all you can do is tip your hat to them, ladies and gentlemen, and applaud the buggery out of them, because that is as good as you'll ever see. We spoke all night about the benefit of the slipstream and the tail around here, but who knew the side draft was 10 times better, 10 times bigger? I've never seen side draft that effective in a Porsche, and they both nailed it. Right place, right time for Zach Rattray White. Well done to Damon Woods. Another second in a feature for him. He'll win one eventually on even terms. But Zach Rattray White has his second feature race win of the season. And whatever the case may be between him and Damon, obviously Damon's still going to extend the championship lead tonight, Jake, and obviously make it even more difficult for Zach Rattray White to reel him in. But what Rattray White's doing in the meantime is making it near on impossible for anyone to get a look in at that silver medal position. I know we're only 8 races in, and there's another 18 to go. There's 2 super sprints in with the other 6 2-race format rounds. But Zach Rattray White is the clear-cut second-best performer on the racetrack throughout the course of this season, and he showed yet again tonight why that is the case. Brilliant racecraft. Clean. In fact, take your hat off to the entire field tonight. The cleanliness out there. Yeah, okay, we had a couple of incidents and a couple that couldn't be helped, but for the most part, a lot better than what we saw in the first 2 rounds of the season. 0.4 of a second, the winning margin in the end. Damon Woods made Zach, unlike Spa, where he was happy to tuck in and follow, he bloody well made Zach Rattray White work for that one, Jake.
He did, and critically, Zach Rattray White said that there's 2 options. Either I'm going to be carbon dust, or I am going to form into a diamond. What a run between those 2. Dylan Shepherd, well-deserved podium out there in 3rd place. He will be very, very pleased with the way how his night has gone. Jack Widders is 4th with Tom Bewley, then in 5th as Marino Morella and Seth Brown, 6th and 7th. For their results. 3 eclipses in a row. Hayden Feld all the way up to 8, getting by Dean Mackay late as Lachlan Capel, who was your pole sitter, well, story of his race, back-to-back 10th places for his troubles. Over the page, Rick Kuznetsov leaving a lot on the table in 11th with Tice Hodge, 12th, Stuart Ellis and Miles Burgess then 13th and 14th, 2 Vermilions, then 2 OPR Gamma Flares. Angus Lawford, 15th ahead of Stefan McCartay, with Zach Kerr 17th, dropping points in the championship, and Sam Chapman doing a good job there in 18th. Jet Saragi for Team Max Boots is 19th, with Reese Wakefield 26 seconds back in 20th position, showing you just how close today's running was. Sam Muir will then be ahead of Lockhart Brownlee, with Ryan Jones 23rd and Simon Mazzomo getting penalty late in 24th position. Brock Gilchrist is then 25th with Jackson Raihana 26th. Jed Van Hemert had a quiet day in 27th ahead of Zach Hanlin and Pat Klein. Scott Rankin ultimately ending up in 30th position. Then over the page again, where Harry Lawrence and Ewan Baker find themselves with Jared McLeod and Jordan Malcolm 33rd and 34th. Byron Pierce chalk this one up for experience and say you've had a horrible, horrible night in 35th. Upside down in both races, with Jacob O'Reilly 1 down, Hugo Allen 4 down. And what a day to be Antal Sabo. This was a tough race at the office. Zach, That is a very, very brilliant run out there, but we still have more to look at.
Yes.
This was on the final lap. This was Ewan Baker and Zach Hanlon into the Porsche curbs.
Again, a second incident in there in this race and almost up and over. How lucky not to be the case. He was able to get back on all fours and get to the line. The SSR entry. Zach Hanlon already has an invoice coming his way out of that race, Jake. I dare say Race Control are having another look at that after the fact. So everything you've just mentioned through there is provisional, but to your point about the race itself, that's as good a Porsche race as you're ever likely to see. We were wondering how sprint racing was going to fare on an endurance circuit. We leave very happy with what we've seen. Well worth the price of admission. Value for money personified. Damon Woods and Zach Ratway-White, a marvellous advertisement for this entire series with thanks to Moza Racing. And also important to note a couple of hard luck stories, as always has been the case throughout the course of this season thus far. We're now at that point where there's probably a few drivers with the tail dangling between their legs. They're thinking, okay, maybe the horse has bolted, maybe our hopes have been dashed, and that is definitely the case. But always a recovery story or two to mention out of a night like that. Good to see some of the guys that had misfortune in race one bounce back and bag a result in race two. And as for Lockie Capel, a pair of tenths, if you don't mind. And if you're at the 21 table, you're just saying, no, I'll sit on that. Thanks very much.
You very much would do. Zach Rattray-White is here with me right now, was fifth in race number one, a win here in race two. Zach, what a final lap. Just talk that through in your perspective, because that was elbows out, we're going to throw it, and honestly, the side draft tonight proving to be really, really strong.
Yeah, I was quite surprised at how strong it was. I think the draft when you're just one-on-one with someone is extreme by itself. When you get alongside someone, you can really park it perfectly, and it was quite evident how strong it was. I think me and Damo were really trying to get the best of each other out of that last lap. And, yeah, I'm glad it ended the way it did, obviously, but yeah, I'm glad it was also him that I had to battle with out of everyone else in the field.
Let's talk about race one as well, because I think that set up the platform here for your race two. You were there in second, you were close with Damon Woods, and then what happened out of the Daytona chicane? Because it looked like you missed a moment for a second. You're in the wall.
Yeah, look, the screen just have decided to exit the building and freeze for a couple of seconds. I still had control of the car. I just had no idea where I was. I wasn't aware that I hit the wall the first time. I hit it twice, and after I hit it, the screen was still frozen, and I thought I was heading to the right fence, and so I turned it back left and dookied on myself again in the left wall. So not ideal. It was going to be quite an easy P2 finish. I was just going to let Damo have that one, but yeah, did not plan out that way. So anyway, but missed out on a little amount of points, but is what it is.
It very much is, but critically for you, the best way to write yourself out of a bad situation there with the screen freeze, you now head to Zandvoort next time out in July. And so with that in mind, a circuit that has a lot of oval nuance to it, very tight, very technical. Is this going to be a case of just completely gut what you've done over the practice that you've needed this month and say, right, we start again from a fresh slate?
Yeah, I think at the moment we got a very good package regardless of where we go. I think obviously there's a couple of changes that you'll need to make here and there, but overall I think what we've got at the moment is probably the best in the field, and I think if we just do what we did tonight again, then I don't think we'll have any issues whatsoever. But Zandvoort's a very fun track. Excited to actually drive it and race it in this car, so I'm very much looking forward to it.
Stellar stuff out there. Zach Rattray-White, fifth in the first heat, but a big old win to say championship is still very much looking in my back pocket. Zach Caven has walked down the virtual paddock. He's with the championship leader, Damon Woods.
Thank you, Jake. Well done to Zach Rattray-White. Hello, Damon Woods. Jake asked me during the call, he said, will he lick the stamp and send it? Will he go for it? Or will he play the same game he did at Spa and think big picture? Part of me thought it'll go either way because there's that age-old narrative of a double looks good, especially at Le Mans, especially after last time round and having the win stripped away from you. And the other side of it was, well, big picture, think round points, think round win. I'm glad that I hedged my bets and sat on the fence firmly there because that was one of the best final laps I think we've ever seen, mate. It was clear that you were keen to go for it. It just looked as though the tyres got away from you there towards the end and you had to concede defeat. But what an epic final lap that was. We've heard it from Zach's standpoint. Talk us through it from yours.
To be honest, I thought Zach was going to run away with it. Shep, luckily for me, got a slowdown, which pulled me back into it and meant that Zach wasn't going to get pump drafted down the straight. So I was counting my lucky stars for that one. And then, yeah, he did pull 2 tenths on me once I got through Shep. But yeah, I think he made a slight mistake in the last chicane on one of the laps, and that kind of gave me the momentum. And yeah, once I got within 9 tenths with the new draft package, it just became an absolute rocket ship. And yeah, closed up on the back. Like, it still took me a lap, but yeah, I mean, that last lap, I was like, well, I got to do something here. I can't just sit and bump draft. That's not good for the show. So, yeah, we practiced battling each other in, leading up to the event. So we kind of knew what we were going to do in terms of where we're going to position the car.
Yeah.
And we both knew that the outside move at Porsche curves is more likely than the inside one, just with how the car's grip. On the entry, it's got heaps of grip, and then as you get to the mid corner, it starts to push, and if you're on the inside, you just got no hope. So, yeah, I was hedging my bets that he would either drive it in too deep, or I had just enough overlap that I could probably bomb it in hard enough. But yeah, that second bit of side draft that he got really pulled him along, and yeah, he definitely made it difficult for me. I did run a little bit wide on the apex, and then grabbed his rear quarter, and that got me loose. But I think, yeah, it was always going to be very, very close on who was going to get that one.
You're the qualifying master of the series. You're the race one master of the series. We're now a third of the way to the campaign. We are still waiting for you to, on legitimate terms, claim a feature race win as well. That time will come, mate, but you've done what you needed to do tonight. You ticked the boxes. You've extended the championship lead. You're making it even more difficult for everybody to reel you in. But at the same time, as much as we're enjoying the show that you and Zach are putting on and the rivalry it's not necessarily rivalry, but it is when you're having at it 2x2 on the final lap at Le Mans, it's making it even more difficult for it to be anything more than a 2-horse race over the next 8 rounds. Zach's going a long way to making himself firm second-place runner in this series. Again, another faultless feature race drive from him. How do you go about knowing how he operates and then trying to combat that as well? How difficult is that challenge to overcome someone that you spend a lot of time with and know how he operates?
When it comes to the feature race stuff, the only time it really matters is when the points difference is, at the end of the championship, is the exact gap between a feature race win and finishing second. So I'm not too fussed about winning a feature race. I know that if I pole it, win race 1, and then also finish second in race 2, and Zach does what we did tonight, if he finishes second even, the points difference isn't too much and he's not gaining a heap. But if it trends this way going towards the last rounds, yeah, I think we'll get interesting. But like I said, for now it's just focusing on bridging the gap to the rest of the field. It's going to be hard to try and pull gaps on Zach in terms of points unless he makes massive errors or gets taken out or something like that. So I just need to focus on what I'm doing, make sure I execute as best as I can on the day, and see where the cards play out.
And as far as the next round of the championship is concerned, mate, I'd love to sit here and chew the fat with you in regards to that epic final lap all night. And I could, but I'm on a leash here. So let's tidy it up by talking about what's coming up at the next round of the series. It is Zandvoort. We know it's a narrow circuit. We know it's a challenging circuit. What's going to be the plan of attack there, knowing full well that after a brilliant opening lap here, where you were able to move your way forward half a second, 5 positions, I should say, and do half the damage on that opening lap and then just slightly chip away at the rest. How much harder are you going to have to work in that invert when we get the Zandvoort?
Yeah, Zandvoort's going to be really tricky just because of how narrow it is. There are passing opportunities like into turn 1 and then also into the bowl turn 4, I think it is. And a little bit in the middle sector, but it's going to require a fair bit of a bomb. So yeah, the invert's going to be definitely quite difficult, especially if we see a similar result to the sprint race tonight. But in the end, I just got to play it safe. If it comes to it and I don't end up right up the front, I'd rather be smart, not get penalties, and to bank the points, and then we see where we end up at round 12 at Adelaide. So it's going to be a bit single file, which is kind of the nature of the track, but I think it will still lend itself to good racing. There are some decent side-by-side areas around the track, so we'll see how we go.
I guess the other point there as well, mate, is you do have, you're in an enviable and luxurious position compared to other people around you in the moment, in the sense that you've got a buffer to play with. You've got some leverage there. Not that you want to lean on that heavily and rely on that solely, but at least you go there knowing full well that there's another 7 rounds to follow it. Last one before I let you go, because I know we've got Dylan Shepherd standing by. From a commentary standpoint, we were trying to get sense of, we ended up finding out by virtue of your final lap shenanigans just how effective the side draft was here. But what was the threshold with regards to the slipstream effect as well, mate? Because we saw you take a huge half a second chunk out of Zach once you got to within a second of him, but just how hard did you have to work to get within that range?
Well, compared to how the car was pre-update, where it was upwards of 2 seconds, what the draft range was, it's basically been half. So I was sitting at 1.2 and getting absolutely nothing, and then as soon as I got to 1 second, I gained a fraction, and then from 9/10 on, it was just so it was a rocket ship down the straight. So if you're looking from a broadcast perspective, it's going to be, if you're looking for that second to 9/10 gap is when someone's in draft, and then 1.1, 1.2, similar to what the GT3 is when they're definitely outside of it, and the current front has broken away, so that's where that's at.
That's not necessarily going to be a huge talking point at the next round of the series, but slipstream will come into effect again when we get to the Red Bull Ring, to Bathurst, and of course to Phillip Island and the Bend, mate. So we're looking forward to that. Well done. Brilliant performance. Go and celebrate and enjoy the fact that you've once again managed to extend the championship lead, 4 race wins this season, and firm form championship favourite. Go well.
Thank you very much, boys. Have a good one.
Back to you, Jake. I'm excited to hear what this bloke's got to say. I think it's the first time we've had him in here for chat this season, and a mighty showing from Dylan Shepherd as well.
Yeah, Dylan Shepherd here with us from OPR X Gamma Flare. Walked into tonight 12th in the championship with an 8th and a 3rd. That's more than enough for you to leapfrog yourself up into the top 10. Talk about how important it has been the past couple of weeks, especially with the update, getting yourself together, because it looks like OPR X Gamma Flare have a rocket ship setup here for this Le Mans circuit.
Yeah, 100%. I think since the start of the series to now, the boys have worked really hard to, dial in the setup and learn what the car likes. And I think we've moved a lot closer to where it needs to be. For this round, I was away at Darwin for Carrera Cup up there running a car. So left a bit more on the boys to work on a setup, and I just rolled in the start of the week with a setup ready to go and felt comfortable right away. And it's paid off.
Lovely plug and play stuff then from you, Dylan. Absolutely incredible. But talk us through the race there, because, of course, you got 8th, which put you to 3rd. And it was absolutely a case, that opening lap for you, of, try and get your bearings, because everyone's throwing a haymaker right and left. You walk out of the bar and brawl in a position where it's only Zach and Damon who are there, who can really go and challenge. And once Damon went through, it was a case of you had a mile of a gap to the group behind.
Yeah, 100%. I think I had a pretty good launch and good run into turn 1, and was able to come out of the chicane, the Dunlop chicane, in the lead. So, it was a bit easy from there. I mean, everyone trying to get us down the Moza straight, but managed to hold on and have a little bit of a gap. Then, Zach was coming through the field as he would, and I thought there was no point fighting him too hard. And and then was just following him, hoping to stay with him and launch something at the end, but got a slowdown, which seems to be the story of my season so far. yeah, unfortunately dropped back, and that allowed Damon to get past me, and then it was just the same story again. Try to follow him for as long as possible, but yeah, unfortunately wasn't able to match their speed at the end, and was hoping they'd fight a bit harder on the last lap. But yeah, for me it's just critical to get a good points haul at this stage of the series while we're still learning the car and getting to the front.
Very, very quickly, how are you feeling about Zandvoort?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done too much racing there, especially since they rescanned it. But yeah, we'll have to do some laps and see where we end up. I think it'll be definitely big hot lap track. I think it'll separate the some of the drivers with actual skill and stuff. It's a bit more technical than some of the tracks we've been at. And yeah, I don't know how the overtaking will go there. I think there'll be some pretty big moves, but there's still a few opportunities. So yeah, we'll see how we end up.
Well, go celebrate, because that is a really, really good result for you and OPRX Gamma Flare. It's an 8 1/3 for Dylan Shepherd, and can be very excited about the result. Zach, one final thing from you as we're about to put the curtains down here at the Circuit de la Sarthe and move ourselves over with all of this coming up.
Yeah, that's an enormous schedule coming up, particularly looking forward to seeing how the Supercar Enduros play out, mate. But to end on a positive note, on a light note, you've given one shout-out tonight on behalf of the ASRG crew. I'd like to give one more, and that is to a good friend of all of us here and one of our regular viewers, Paul O'Sullivan, Ryan's dad. He's tuning in. It's his 70th birthday today, and many happy returns to him as well.
Yeah, gotta love a big happy birthday celebration. Always a great enjoyment when you can go watch some amazing racing. 3 races then with sports cars, on the dirt with Port Royal, Knoxville, and Federated Auto Parts at I-55. We're in enduro mode for V8 Pro Invitational over at Phillip Island and at Sandown. You can take a look. There is Port Royal ready and waiting to get down in with the dirt. You can catch that July 1st. 8 p.m. AEST on that for your Sprint Car Pro Invitational. V8 Pro Invitational over at Phillip Island. We're going to get the teams on in, and it's going to be absolutely ace to go and put yourself in on mark to go and watch that. In terms of when we're back in racing action, we got it ace. We're at Zandvoort on the 15th of July. Mark that down in your calendar from 7:45, because the banks here of Europe are going to prove to be a very tricky affair for those who want to go and get it correct. From Zach Caban, from Jay Kennedy, who has been on the production, my name is Jake Sperry. Sometimes a battle is worth its weight in gold, and any time you have a chance to go and put yourself on a pedestal, send a message to the championship leader, you take it with open arms. While it is again another first and second for Damon Woods, and he knows he's building gap in this championship, Zach Rattray White is going to mark him every single stage of the way. I'd call that a 9-9 match if this was a boxing round, and a case of where you need the hammer blow punch, well, you might just have to wait for a couple of weeks' time when we see you with more racing action over at the Circuit Park Zandvoort.